Hey, everybody, we're here with another episode of The Marvel Show. This is episode 9, and as always, I'm with my buddy Manu, the 9.9 newsstand. It's good to have you, my friend.
Hello, everyone.
But we got a new face here. Who is this?
I'm going to introduce our friend Taj. Yes,
You go
Taj,
right ahead.
All right, buddy, go for it.
Oh, I will then. This is Taj. We all know him as Epicomicology, and I talk about him often because I am so impressed by what he does to books, and he cares for my books, and we've also become friends. Epicomicology is who we know him as. His name is Taj, and he's our guest today so that we can discuss all things pressing, and as well as some new things he's been working on that might change everything as we know it.
Oh, I'm excited.
Thanks for the intro.
We do have a lot of comic book fans in the chat and that watch this channel because we're Marvel card fans. And look, without comic books, there's no Marvel cards, right?
Absolutely right.
And I do have to say this because I think this is going to be on everyone's mind. So we've got Taj. Is this an upgrade or a downgrade from Naj? I just got to know.
In my other line of work, we call it a single locus variant. So I guess
He's also a scientist, ladies and gentlemen.
My day job is in the field of science, where I'm usually tracking viruses and whatnot. But yeah, we're keeping it short here with 3 and 4 letter words.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Well, Taj, it's a real honor to have you on the channel. I really do appreciate it. You know, when you get connected with good people like Manu, you know what? He brings around good people, and that makes me happy.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah, very nice to have you. And Naj is actually here with us as well, and she says upgrade for sure. She's modest.
Yeah, Naj. No, that was a compliment to you because Taj is awesome. You're really awesome. So we got
Kit. I'm only putting up with a couple hour time difference, not 6 or 9 or so that she usually contends with, right?
I'm gonna tell you, she's a trooper. She's been on here at 2 a.m. her time and rocked it. She really did.
All right. Well, I got big shoes to fill.
Well, we're gonna say hello to a few people in the comments. We got Kent, Marvel Guy 239. He just dropped a really cool Marvel card break of the Heroes box. Is it Caillou Heroes? I think is what they call it. Check it out. I mean, it's been up for just like an hour. So we got the Card Freak. Hello. For the very long excited. Yeah. Oh, we know who that is. Dan, how's it going? Mr. Joshua, everybody. Yesterday, Mr. Joshua and Stephen Candell on the Scandell Cards and Comics channel did an incredible reveal of Beckett graded cards. We're talking about really the creme de la creme of cards. I'm not going to wax eloquent at this point, but you do really want to check that out. Some of the best Marvel cards I've ever seen. We're even talking about a gold 1-of-1 Namor, which PMG, which is really cool. So check out his video. Yeah.
Okay.
We got Vikings Word here.
Vikings Word.
Oh, we love it. We got Deadpool Deeds. Have we seen Deadpool Deeds in the chat before?
I remember saying that name a couple of times last time. Were we fighting about something, Deadpool? Did we fight? I love you. Did we fight?
I think Deadpool's always fighting. That's his deed. That's what he does.
And there we go. We're right where we're supposed
to
be.
I saw in the name. We got the one and only Victor. Victor's been winning a lot lately, so it's good luck to have him in the chats for sure. And
very nice.
Mr. Jayhawk, he's always here. We love to see him. And we'll do this will be our last shout out for a couple minutes. We got Johnny Bravo 808, one of the best IG pages on Instagram as it relates to Marvel cards. If you haven't checked it out, it's got really good stuff.
Is that the one that you just posted? You posted his page on your story about a week ago. He's got crazy PSA 10s of Wolverine and all kinds of things. I followed immediately. He's definitely been putting up heat regularly. Mm-hmm. So very nice to have you in here as well. Thwip it good, my man. Hello.
We got, Thwip is here, you know.
Yeah, he is.
I've been working on that.
It's pretty good.
I'm glad
I got to get my timing right, but that's going to be my follow-up, man.
All right. Well, it had to shoot from Louisiana to San Francisco. I think your timing was pretty good, actually. Vintage Lord, Canada. When did you add Canada? I don't remember Canada being there, but I like it.
Yeah, I thought it was always there. Vintage Lord, correct us if we're wrong. Was it always there? Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what happened the other day? He posted something a few days ago, maybe like a week ago. No, it was about 6 days ago. And I was on the post watching his video. And then I heard this charming Southern voice. And I was like, that's Justin. And then I heard me making annoying noises. And I said, oh my gosh,
Well, are you
that's us in the
serious?
background. Yeah.
Wow.
It was very cool. He was watching
Yeah.
one of the videos. I thought that was so amazing. I really appreciate that.
That is really cool. I love it. Mysterious Wolfen. I am new to the market and I don't have a lot of money. What Marvel cards should I buy? The ones you like and are within your budget. I mean, it really is that simple.
That is the perfect answer.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So let's get into a little more of an introduction to Taj. So Taj, you're a scientist by day. You're a comic book wizard at night. Is that right?
Yeah, just about. I mean, I get into very technical hobbies. I think just my background and typical type A personality that always has to go kind of extreme with anything that they partake in. And I grew up in the 90s as a comic book collector. Went through the comic crash and kind of stopped collecting after high school and just pretty much got back into it a few years ago. And I think when I started getting back into it, I started revisiting my old comics. And
what about your 90s Marvel cards?
Yeah, actually, I was going to ask later on my my noob question in the card market. I collected cards as well, so I do have series 1 through 4 of Marvel in the binders. I got my hollows.
Cool. All right. A lot of respect for you now. You can get back to the comic books. I just had to know.
Well,
and I'm just going to interrupt.
Yeah,
I just want to interrupt really quickly and say, Taj, I mean, you're talking, I'm cutting you up to say it's so amazing to have you here. Like watching you and speaking to you with us, it feels really good. I'm so thankful that you're here. Carry on. Sorry.
Okay. So I got back into it. I started revisiting my old collection and started learning about comic book pressing and cleaning for the first time. And you made that post earlier today with the iron, and it was kind of funny. But actually, at one point, I was looking that up myself, like how to press comics, and didn't exactly know what it involved. I thought people were stacking books on top of comics and trying to flatten them out. And learned that it was a lot more involved process, and that if you wanted to score high grades with your grading company, you really need to be cleaning and pressing books before you submit them. And since that point, I don't think I've submitted any book without, even a brand new modern off the shelf, I haven't submitted without pressing it first. And like many things, I had a couple people that were doing pressing for me, and I essentially wasn't happy with their service. I got a couple books back and I'm like, I don't know. Like, I feel like if I had learned this, I could have done a little better. There was stuff that I saw that I thought should have been able to be fixed. And it's like, okay, it got to the point where I'm going to take the dive. So I started, just like everything else, doing my research, reading forums, reading books, watching videos, and really picked it up, invested in a press. Tried and erred a whole lot, but went to the dollar bin and picked up a bunch of books and started out and started to find my way and over time kind of refine my practice. And I think that certainly nobody is going to put the time into books like you will yourself. So, when you're cleaning your own book and working on it, then you if you're debating whether, hey, maybe this book needs one more press, I feel like most people would, be like, it's okay, good enough for the 15 or 10 bucks you paid me to press it. We're going to package this off and send it on. Whereas when you're working on your own books, you tend to go that extra mile and do that extra press. And that's why Manu will tell you, like, I don't press for a lot of people. I have a main career and I kind of do this as a hobby, but it's also partly because I want to make sure that if I do accept books, that I put the same love and care into them that I would my own. And that takes extra time. It's all about time and how much you're going to invest and how much time and energy you're going to put into that. And if I couldn't do that to the fullest, then I wouldn't take somebody's books to press, because I would want them handled the same way I did my own books and stuff. So yeah, I guess that's the gist of it, how I ended up here and how I ended up with, a comic book press in my garage and always tinkering with new techniques and trying to upgrade or bump my comics, and it really changed the way I collect. So those people getting into it, it really changes your perspective on collecting, and when you're shopping around from stuff, what you're looking to buy, and where you see room for improvement. And it kind of ended up being my angle for collecting. Like I kind of look for those and hunt for those books where I think could be improved and cleaned, and it's part of the excitement and the thrill for me.
Yeah. So Manu, if you don't mind, I want to latch on to what I just heard Todd say.
Yeah.
So you have if you kind of think about like this triage that you've like you heard of, like, what do you do? How do you do it? Why do you do it? And I love your why. Like, you had this experience that was painful and you didn't feel like your books were cherished and handled in a way that they should have been, right? And so then you're remembering your why every time you have somebody else's book in your hand. And I just think that's really special. It's not, hey, I'm trying to press the most books or be the best presser ever, but you remember your why. And those other things tend to follow a why that's that powerful and that strong. That's really awesome.
And I think it plays into my over analytical way of thinking. It is kind of a science to it, and learning new techniques and seeing how far you can push it with still trying to preserve the book and kind of respect the age. And I think, one of the things we're going to talk about is some of the stain removal and whitening stuff that I've been getting into. But I think that's the area where you also kind of have to know when to stop. And that's sometimes that's the really hard thing to do, because you're like, maybe I could do this more, but you want to respect kind of the age of the book. If you turned a Silver Age key into something that looked like it just came off the shelf, or it's whiter than it did when it came off, I also trying to think like you have to preserve some of the essence of the fact that that's a 60, 70-year-old book that you're working on, and preserve some of the history there, and not make it look a little too cosmetically fake, so to speak. I mean, it again, thinking about why I did this, it's just it plays into that analytical side of me, and really wanting to learn new techniques and seeing what I could fix, and how night and day, those before and afters are really what I'm after. How big of an improvements can I see?
I love that. That's awesome. So do you have some, Manu, do you have some like lead questions you want to ask that you think that people want to know about comic book pressing? Is there mysteries around pressing that people may not understand? Is it not an iron that you're putting on top of your book?
It's not an iron. That's how it started, I'd imagine. No, but it's definitely not an iron.
I mean, I'm sure that I'm going to give everybody like a minute rundown of basically the process of it. Just to kind of dissolve some of the mystery. I also want to mention I do have a YouTube page, the same handle, and I put a lot of videos on, a lot of tutorials on there. And because I don't press a lot of books for people, I want to put my knowledge out there and let people be able to learn and to take on this for themselves. So I try to help people along the way. But just to give people an idea, I mean, the first thing is, and actually this is good for anybody that's collecting in the hobby. I mean, when I buy books, one of the things I always notice is that, especially at Comic Cons or even in shops, like you're buying a book off the rack, take the book out of the back and board. Like it's surprising, but a lot, and I would say the majority of people don't take the book out of the bag and board. The back cover.
You mean like while you're pressing, or do you mean like?
No, I'm talking about like when you're shopping for a book, like you're looking for candidates that you're going to maybe clean and press and submit, and you're hunting for a new Silver Age key, so to speak, or even a modern book. A lot of people will they'll flip through the boxes, or they'll pick a book off the shelves, they'll negotiate the price without ever pulling it out, without ever counting the pages, without ever looking at the back cover. And worst thing that could happen is you get that home and you open it up, you turn it over, and you realize there's a huge stain on the back, or it's got a tear, or it's missing a page, or even
a really bad color rub, which is what happened on my AMS 300.
Yep. Right. So that's especially with books like that have those horrible black backgrounds. You'll notice everybody right now is going after the Hulk 449s because all the Thunderbolt news. And that book has a glossy black cover. And if you look at grader notes for that book, fingerprints all over it. And those are irreversible. So those are some of the things I'll check and triage when I'm picking out books. But the first process is just wiping the book down, taking a Swifter pad, giving it a good wipe. And then there's a process of cleaning things using erasers, different types of erasers, and then the pressing process. And there's a couple different presses that you can use. A lot of people have t-shirt presses because they're inexpensive to get into, about $150 to $200. They're effective. So just because somebody's using a t-shirt press doesn't mean that they're doing anything wrong or that they're going to mess up your book or that it's not professional. Those are highly effective. The next level up, and is something that I lucked into because I was looking on OfferUp, is called a dry mount press. And that's what professional photographers use to mount pictures to those backing boards. So that's that whole area is called dry mount presses. And that's what I have. And those brand names are like Seal or Bienfang. And they're professional levels. Like if you went on B&H Photo, they're about $1,500 or $2,000 to get into one of those. But I would,
a little bit of an investment.
Yeah. And you could certainly turn that around, but photographers are getting out of their business all the time. So look online
let them take the hit and then buy used, slightly used.
Yeah. So if you want to check it out, I mean, basically, humidify the book and I press it, leave it in there overnight, triage it again, and continue the kind of that process. But
so humidify the book, like that.
Yeah.
Sounds scientific, right?
Like, yeah. Okay. So the way that I do it is I have a big Rubbermaid tank, Rubbermaid tank that has a grating on it. And I have a baby humidifier, like a little vapor mister in there. And I put the book in there and give it about 2.5 minutes. I flip it over, give it another 2.5 minutes of misting this book. And all that does is it loosens up. It's just like hopping in the sauna for us, right? Like we're getting there, we're hopping in the sauna. Now our muscles are all pliable. It's the same thing.
What happens if you put it in the humidifier? You go to the kitchen like to get a cup of coffee, but then you spill coffee greens. And you're like, oh, I got to clean this mess up and then make a new fresh cup of coffee and then realize it's 15 minutes later. What happens?
Yeah. That's a bad day. Like, I mean, if you've ever seen water damage, like really bad water damage on paper, that's basically what you get. You'll get ripples on the paper. That's irreversible. So once some of those things happen to the book, like there's no way back. You can maybe mitigate it, but you want to I live by my phone timer, and I think I'll probably drive my wife crazy with the concept beep 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 beep, or using those little remote timers that you can set to shut things off, because you don't want to leave your humidifier on, and you certainly don't want to leave your press on. If you have a modern book in your press that you leave in there overnight, you'll basically get that thing out, and it'll be a solid brick. I mean, it's pretty crazy. Manu, I'm scaring the heck out of you right now.
Well, we've never had anything like that.
Yeah. This is the dark side you don't want to know. Yeah. You could basically fuse every page of the book together and you'll get like a solid, just flat thing that's completely stuck.
Oh,
I got to tell you guys, we've got a lot of great questions coming in, so we're going to have some fun. That's for sure.
We do. What about this one with Arleo Mintz? What flaws can a 9.8
This is my
have?
man. This is a loaded question, Taj. Do you want to? Go for it.
So we always kind of joke that a 9.8, it's just basically semantics and arguing the difference between a 9.6 to a 10.0. And honestly, I think the only 10.0s I've seen are like cardstock covers, which are what's that?
Or the metal. Sorry, I had a few.
Or metal, right? Like something that's got a rigid outline, cardstock that basically haven't been touched. That Batman Dam book is a great historical example that everybody kind of knows. With the Batwing book, more people refer to it as, and that was one. I think those are the ones that get 10.0s. And basically, when you get to a 9.8, like a 9.8 can have tiny non-color breaking ticks that are on the spine, and that's basically, I think you get one or two maybe. So you can have maybe like one or two minor defects on a 9.8 for it to still be a 9.8. So just because you have a tiny bend or a tiny non-color breaking spine tick, it doesn't mean it's going to be a deal breaker for a 9.8. But as soon as you start breaking color, and what that means is basically you folded the paper enough where you see white, right? And that can't be reversed. So there's things in comic book cleaning and pressing that can be reversed, and there's stuff that can't be fixed. And that's one of the things, once you see white, you can't put that color back, right? So that's one of those things. So 9.8s have to have like very, very minor stuff. And as you progress from there, like 9.6s, you might have 2 or 3 of those, maybe one color breaking spine tick. And that's about it. The things that really kill books though are staining. things like foxing and creases. Like creases, if you have a ASM 300 or something like that that has a crease in it, you're looking at like the 6s, 5, 6, and 7s if it's a bad enough color breaking crease.
What about when you pull a book out of a storage locker that's been there for like 15 years and it has silverfish crawling all over it? And can you do work on that one?
Yeah, so
with all the foxing hairs and all that.
Yeah, I will say until recently, and this is a thing we can get to. Until recently, there wasn't really much you could do for foxing or any kind of discoloration with the paper or staining. And I'm telling you, man, when you've seen enough books and you've been in the hobby a long time, it feels like every kid in the 70s and 80s was reading their books, drinking Yoo-hoo or something. You're like, why is there chocolate milk stains on my like seemingly priceless book, or some kind of weird stain? I think I've
a glass of chocolate milk actually sounds really good right now.
Yeah. Chocolate milk while the kids are picking their
nose. I would love some chocolate milk right now.
No Sprite tonight?
No, no Sprite tonight.
So you see everything.
I want to add to something really quickly, but I'm not going to hijack this. When we're talking about 9/8, right? We're talking about what you said. That's completely how I think about it as well. And certain collectors, they want a 9/8 that doesn't have a tick on it. Like you can be particular about which 9/8 you buy if you're comparing one 9/8 to another. But yeah, 9/8s can have ticks. But then one thing that I noticed a while ago and have recently been noticing more of with particular books, and this is just to complicate things a little bit for the sake of conversation, depending on a book and depending on what defects it's known to have, like there's some books that CGC just grades on a very interesting curve where you got 5 or 6 little hairline color breaking ticks, color breaking little ticks, 4 or 5 of them, and it's still a 9/8.
I think you showed some examples on Instagram, didn't you?
I did. There's some Simpsons books that are made cheaply, and I think CGC knows that. So they're awarded 9.8s when, as somebody hunting for that book in the wild, we might overlook that book. We might think this is a 9.4, 9.6 at best, and we won't buy it. And certain people that don't know, or not they don't know, they're just like, whatever, let's just grade it, see what happens. It comes back 9.8s, and they're like, oh my gosh. And most recently, a Batman Beyond just sold on eBay with about 5 or 6 color breaking ticks, and it sold for over $4,000, even though one sold for $9,000 recently as well with the same 4 or 5 ticks. And I verified they are different books. So some books are graded oddly, but unfortunately you don't learn that until you start dealing with lots and lots and lots of books, because you don't know which ones are that way until you see multiple of the same. But everything Taj said, I agree with completely. I just wanted to add that little nuance there.
Love it.
So I'm actually, as you're doing that, drawing a little figure over here.
Okay, Taj, 1 second. I want to call out this comment from Mr. Crowley, 804. Favorite time of the week, cards and comics are my life. An amazing community to be a part of. Rock. Thanks, y'all. See, you might be from the South. Thank y'all for what you do for the hobby. Love it.
I think I mean, Mr. Crawley, let us know if you are from the South. That is an amazing comment. Thank you for that. But I just want to say, I say y'all up from the Bay Area.
Hey, okay, real quick. So because of y'all, because of you, I got to show.
Taj doesn't.
I grew up in Florida. I'm too far south.
Too far south. Look at what Manu found for me. Marvel hoodie.
That's dope, man.
Oh, awesome. Love it.
That is, probably can't hear me. That is that's Alex Ross art. Did you know that when you sent that to me?
No, but I mean, you don't have to look at it very long to think that fine art there looks like Alex Ross stuff. But I did not know. When I sent it to you, it was royal blue with a big like orangish red hit, and I said, "This is Justin's personality. This is this is Spidey hit." And I sent you the
Spidey hit.
And then you were like, "Are you going to grab that?" I said, "No, man, this is here, so you can buy it." And it was a medium. I was like, "You got to snatch it." So I'm glad you did. It's really
it. Looked like Gators colors.
Hey, come on now. Come on now.
Sorry.
Wait a minute. I didn't know about this. I'll allow that once.
Sports.
I should put my Florida hat on.
Yeah. At least you're not Alabama. I'd boot you off the channel.
That's true. That's true. We could both agree on that.
Yeah. Awesome.
I'm leaving. This is a sports channel now. Bye.
Bye. Yeah. All right. So Marvelous had a question. What about polybag books? And I actually have a box of CGC graded comic books here that I have not shown on the channel yet that I got last week. Manu, you don't even know about these, do you?
I don't think so. No.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any new comics enter your collection recently.
But these came from CGC last week, courtesy of Valor Comics and Daniel Dunn, who is my local presser, does a great job. And These came mislabeled.
Oh my! Wait,
From
are these
C-
no? These are the UF4s?
These are the UF4s.
Right.
And I'm bringing these out now because of the polybag question. So why don't you, Taj, handle the polybag question? When you're done, I'll show the books.
Yeah. So I think that it just like every book, it depends how they were stored. And certainly if you have, I mean, again, going back to my history in the 90s, I
Mhm.
left all my comics in the poly bags. I didn't want to open them up. I had the Ren and Stimpy #1 that had the famous gag on it when he like opened up the poly bag. It was like, oh no, you've made the comic worthless now, So I
Oh,
kept
I
them
don't
in
even
there
remember
until
that.
Yeah.
yeah,
You were not supposed to take it out of the polybag, or
yeah,
the
it was
value just
That's
went
dope.
away. Yeah.
I love
yeah.
that
So
they did that. That's funny.
it was funny. I mean, I was actually crushed as a kid. Like I remember opening that up, and but now it's a good laugh. But I will say, like I've pressed Ultimate Fallout 4. Recently, I opened up. I actually had a bunch of Midnight Suns from the Ghost Rider series that I opened up out of the poly bag, and they came with poster inserts too. So not only did they have the poly bag, but they also had a poster insert that they could be pressed up again. So them being in the poly bag is not a deal breaker. What happens is that it's being in a poly bag and being stacked or improperly stored. So if you start putting a lot of weight, and a lot of people had those Ultimate Fallout 4s in big stacks, and so it's really pressing that seam into the book, and they're not irreversible. I would say that color rub's a bigger issue on Ultimate Fallout 4
Mhm.
than the poly bag. But most times I can get those detents out, and that's where some of the humidity can help. Where even usually I don't humidify modern books, but with those little dab of humidity, soften up that paper, and for the most part, you should be able to get those out. I was actually able to 9.8 2 out of the 3 Midnight Suns that I pulled out of the poly bag a couple months ago and pressed and sent in. So it is possible. It's not a deal breaker, but if you have books that are in a poly bag, take them out and put them in regular bags and boards.
So when you are storing books, do you store them standing straight up and down or flat?
Yeah, so I store them cover to cover, and I don't use. I think the one thing that I've always preached is not using cheap bags and boards. Almost all of my boards get my comics get Mylars, so I put everything in 725 M2s, the Mylites with full backs for the expensive ones and half backs for the kind of normal run of the mill ones. And when I put them in the boxes, I put them cover to cover. And what that does is that balances them out. So if you put them all kind of facing in the same direction, you'll notice that they kind of lean to one side, or kind of smushed to one side because the spine is just a little bit thicker. That gets amplified as you kind of start to add books. So if you don't want to get what's called spine roll, which is that little bit of crease you get because of that, you got to put them face to face. It makes it a pain in the butt when you want to actually go through your books and look at them. But if you want to maintain them, that's the way to do it.
Go ahead, Manu.
All right. Taj has a lot of information for you guys, for everybody here. So there's something that I want to take a break on and mention, and it falls perfectly in line with the name that I just saw. I just saw a name called Mylars Morales, which is an amazing name, right? So shout out to Mylars Morales. And Taj just touched on the halfbacks versus fullbacks, these great backing boards. The reason, and I wanted to stop real quick, is because a lot of people might not know what that means. The first time I ever heard about a halfback or a fullback, what are you talking about? So that brand is called eGerber, E.Gerber, Gerber. And when he was mentioning the numbers, the 72M and that's like the designation for what size bag and what size boards. And interestingly enough, the reason that I am addicted to and a believer of and completely hooked on and now paying like 3 times what I used to a year and a half ago because of everything is Taj. When I was sending Taj books when we initially developed our relationship and friendship, and I was sending books like double bagged and double board. Like there was a book in a bag and board, and then I would put that in a larger bag and board, like all kinds of odd things because I didn't know exactly what I was doing. And he said, brother, you don't have to do this anymore. Buy this thing called a fullback and buy these Mylars, these 2 mil Mylars, and just rock with that. And so I placed an order. They came in, and one side was like heavy texture and one side was lighter texture, and I criticized everything. So I gave them a hard time about the texture on these things. Like, these textures are going to make imprints on the books. They didn't. They're the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
So eGerber is the brand. The boards are called fullbacks for, you know, the books that you like most. Coincidentally, Taj, the package that I opened from you today, that's a halfback in there, isn't it? The one that
Yeah,
has,
they
yeah,
actually. I hate to say supply chain stuff, but even
it is
Gerber
though.
has
It's true.
been sold out of fullbacks. And I will say so. So just to add a little couple more details, the halfbacks are 24 I don't know why I know this. The halfbacks are 24 millimeters thick, and the fullbacks are 42 millimeters. And the fullbacks are thick. I mean, it's a piece of cardboard. And if you've ever looked at, it's basically like corrugated cardboard. I mean, when
Mm.
it's not the same. Like if you take two halfbacks and you put them in a bag together, it's not as sturdy as a fullback, and that's just because of physics and how rigid the cardboard gets. But if you know, I couldn't imagine if you have a book over $20, you know, I would have it protected, and not only,
I
you know,
put everything
protected
in
in
them.
that, but it also looks beautiful. I mean, they look
It's
gorgeous. The Mylar is crystal clear. It's not the same thing that you're going to get with poly bags.
Do you have a
Let's
bag and
geek out a
board?
little.
Well, I was going to ask on your YouTube channel, do you have a review of these
You know,
as a
I
video?
don't. There's a
Oh,
great
dude.
there's a great post on the CGC forum about the Mylars, and I will say, don't
Do you have
pay.
to read it? Do you have to read it, or is it
No. I
video?
would say if you want to just mark it down, like buy 725 M2s and 700 fullbacks for everything, for your moderns and your
All right.
silvers.
Here's what I'm going to
Uh,
do. After the stream, I'm going to post this in the description. I'll get it from you, either Taj or Manu,
and
a
and it's
link
a
in
weird
the
company.
information.
You got to call them to place the order over the phone,
They're
and
so primitive, man.
yeah,
It's so,
but that's the way to do it. Don't pay eBay prices. eBay prices,
I do
or
that.
don't do it,
Because you
man.
don't want to pick up the phone and call. He just pays it. He pays the
The problem is
convenience fee. That's what
well,
they
it's
call
not
that.
it's
the convenience
$100
fee.
minimum. So that's the problem. Like it's $100 minimum to order straight from eGerber, but pay it. You're going to go through it. You know, don't do that.
Menage.
Yeah.
My brain stopped. I need a link to the product. I'm gonna get you a
So
phone
let-
number, not a link. Sorry.
let's. Well, I want to you said some amazing things, so I want to just recap a few really quickly in terms of how you put your books into the box. You know, cover to cover. That's incredible. Like people do talk about that, but few people actually practice that, right?
Yeah.
Because when you're shuffling through your
Yeah.
books, you can't see what you're shuffling through, but that's all right because you're going to take your time shuffling through them the same way you took your time taking care of them. So that's amazing. And then when you were talking about how beautiful it is to put a book into an eGerber Mylar and an eGerber fullback, one of the things that is so incredible to me, like I love, you know, you said you don't know why they're one's 24 mils thick and one's 40, because this is why you are who you are. Like this is what's
Oh,
amazing.
I knew why I knew the answer. I know
You
why
know,
I don't know the
exactly.
answer.
Right. And so that's really special. And another one of those details is like when you're using a standard back and another thing we need to touch on, they're acid free. Those boards are acid free without any paint. Those standard bags and boards, one side is I gotta stop yelling. I'm sorry, everybody.
You're good.
The standard bags and boards are painted on one side. And when we talk about
Keep
color
going.
rub,
Amp it back
a
up.
lot of okay, fine. The energy's here. I don't
Yeah.
have a Sprite, but I got my big mouth.
Yeah.
But you know, they're painted on one side, and that's what leads to color rub. Color rub doesn't come out of nowhere. It's because the boards are painted. How
Like you're saying, like
ridiculous is
it
that?
almost is sticking when it's
It
like
is
created.
sticking. It's absolutely
Yeah, I
sticking.
wish I had one to. I wish I had one to show as an example. I've actually been in the process of trying to rebag and board my books from the 80s and 90s. But when you pull them out, the polyurethane is all yellowed, and when you pull out the backing board is yellowed, and a lot of times you'll get an imprint from the back of the comic that's stuck kind of photocopied onto the back of that board, and it's just, I mean, this is one area I don't know enough of, but it has to do with the papers off gassing and the inks and papers that they use, and over time just the oxidation that's happening in the paper when it's reacting with the polyurethane and with just the air. So I think that's why it's important to use those acid-free boards, especially like you're talking about. You're like, oh, I'm not going to keep them that long, but I have books from the 80s and 90s that I bought off the shelf myself. That's now 40 years ago. Like
crazy.
That's crazy.
Taj, the first books you did for me, one of them, the Venom Sinner Takes All. Well, they're all from my childhood, but that one was one that I because there was like an Avengers Annual 10. Obviously, I didn't buy that brand new, but it was for some reason with me. But a lot of those were books that I bought off of the rack. I mean, off of the shelf at a comic book store myself, and we 9-8'd a few of those, which is
Yeah, yeah.
fantastic. And yeah, no, absolutely. We are going to keep these things 30, 40 years. Like, we shouldn't bag and board them thinking, you know, we're going to have a
Right.
couple years. Man, 30 years goes by.
Or that you're going to change them in 10 years. Like, you don't want to do that,
Right.
man. You
Yeah.
don't wanna do that.
Yeah, you don't want to just be constantly replacing them.
Yeah.
Well, look, hey,
And
let
then-
me show. Oh, go ahead.
Yes. No,
Yeah,
no.
I'm gonna show you these. We'll look at them together. So
Oh, yeah, right,
obviously-
right.
Oh, nice.
Oh wait, I didn't want to show that one first. We'll come back to
Uh-oh. You got Todd. That's a crane sketch.
it. I really thought I had that one last. Oh, that's right. Okay, I got two Bagley sketches here.
Taj loves Clayton Crane, everybody.
Yeah,
Just
I'm a
in
big
case it-
Crane
yeah.
fan.
Well, how can you not be? So here's a Bagley sketch.
Oh, shoot.
There we go. Can you see that all
Nice.
right?
Oh, and you got Bendis on there too.
Yeah, so it's Bendis auto and Clayton Crane's auto.
Taj knows.
There we go. There we go.
Yeah.
Now you can see it. So, but the only sketch on this one is Bagley. And look, I'm gonna tell you, I've seen some ugly Bagley sketches, some ugly ones. And I was really thankful to see these because these are not nearly as ugly. Oh, this
Naj,
is a
have a
nine.
wonderful morning.
Oh, is she leaving?
Yeah, she's got to get some
Aw.
sleep, I'm sure. Or start her day, actually. What am I talking about?
Yeah. Thank you, Naj. See you later. This was a 9-4, and we sent it to CGC to. It had already been signed by Clayton Crane, and sent it to get the remark. Sorry, backwards, and the autos, and then had it cleaned and pressed by them, and it dropped a grade. And you will not find where it says Clayton Crane signed it on there, and they did that on all three of these books.
Oh man.
Oh, big your screen, Justin. Go big. Go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, take over for a second. There you go.
Sorry. All right. Then we got another one here. This was a 9-0, was sent to CGC to be cleaned and pressed, and had the Bagley sketch put in, but it was already signed by Clayton Crane, and they didn't put that on there either. No, they did actually put. No, this one's correct.
That
This
one
one
dropped too?
Yeah, this one dropped from a 9-0 to an 8-5. And that was with them cleaning and pressing it.
Dude, I didn't know both dropped. These are different from what I knew about them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So both.
God.
This is actually my brother's book.
Hmm.
And then
Sorry,
I mean,
Nathan.
it's a roll of the dice. It
Yeah.
sometimes it really is, and you can get a big bump or you can get knocked down. Oh, that's a great sketch though.
Man,
Yeah.
that's sick.
At least you got the 9-6 on the one it counted on. That's beautiful.
So I first got the Crane. There it is, the Crane sketch.
Oh,
And
that was
then-
Captain America's face.
That was Captain America's face. Don't you like that? Well, so I did
I
this
do.
because I was like, Miles's face is covered, so I was like, I want Miles's face on the cover. That was my idea behind it. And so, and then I sent it in a second time. It did not drop in grade, thank God. And add the Bagley sketch and the Bendis auto, but they didn't put anything on there about Clayton Crane.
Oh, geez.
So these have to go back again.
They
Yep.
all have to go back. Yep.
And so I'm very
And-
thankful
and,
to have it. But
The other books, just wait for Pacelli signing off and send those in again. I mean, that's you're already pot committed at this point.
yeah, and when I get Pacelli, I'll be done. And I do. love
I
the
wish I
book.
knew you were going to have those. I would have showed mine off too.
Oh, you have some too.
Yeah,
Oh,
I have I have a first print that has a sketch by Pacelli and Bagley too, and I lucked out with a decent sketch. Yeah, I actually have a whole
Wow.
folder on my phone that I keep pictures of some of the bad Bagley sketches.
Aren't they so bad?
Some of them
We-
are really bad.
we ought to
and I
just
hate
do
doing
like
that
a
'cause I
whole-
love his art.
A whole episode of bad Bagley sketches, and for him
Bad
to
Bagley.
for him to draw so well.
But I sent 4 books. Sent 4 second prints to the dual signing because I wanted to kind of hedge my bets a little bit on those. And I bought 9-4s and 9-6s, cracked them, pressed them, and sent them in. And I lucked out with 2 9-8s and 2 9-6s.
Oh wow!
So-
I need 1 9-8 for. I just because none of what I've seen in 4 miles is got
Yeah.
a 9/8.
And
Some of
I
them
like
have
the second print. I like seeing his face. I think it's
Mhm.
I like that one. I like the Pacelli variant of it.
Yep. Agreed.
Speaking of that second print, last week we were talking about it, and I still thought that book was fluctuating between the $700 and $900 realm. One of our friends that was watching the show, I forget his Instagram handle at the moment, but dang, I wish I remembered his Instagram handle right now. But in any case, he might be in here, so he'll jump in and remind us. But after our live, he actually snagged one for like $500, and I didn't
Wow.
realize that the second print 9H right now. You know, a lot of things are down right now. It's a buyer's market
Yeah.
right now, and
Mhm.
I mean, it's hard for me to say that's not a terrific price for that.
Yeah, that's a great price for a second print.
Ooh, my goodness.
Especially when you
I would say
consider
that's definitely a buy right now. I mean, if we want to talk comic investing with all the Spider-Verse stuff coming, like those books are buy. And I would buy, you know,
Yes.
if you can't afford the first prints, buy the second prints, buy the Pacelli one. I think that's a great cover too. You get, you know, first cover of Miles' face. And honestly, it's the most accurate one. You know, funny side story. I think that's a ridiculous cover. I just think it's completely ridiculous. And the funniest thing is I was my 6-year-old who I talk about a lot. I got him into collecting and comic art and everything. And we read the book. I originally, a couple years ago, before that book went crazy, bought him a second print to read through. And we went through the book and he's like, "Where's Captain America? Where's you know, where are these characters that are on the cover?" And he just didn't get it. He's like, "I don't understand why, you know, Thor's here. Thor's not in the comic." And I'm like, yeah, that's a great point there, buddy. Great point.
that is hilarious.
I agree. It's a ridiculous cover, man. I got my own reasons to think. Now it's grown on me. You know, now I have an appreciation for it
Yeah.
for what it is. But yeah, like
Mhm.
I was like, what is this?
Hated it when I first saw it.
I'm
hated
with you,
it.
man.
But
I wasn't
honestly,
in comics in 2011. When I got back in, I saw this cover and I was like, what? Why is he floating? Why is his face covered? What are all these people in the background?
well, the font for Ultimate Fallout, that wasn't, to me, that just, I don't know, just didn't do it for me. But
from
over
a design
time,
perspective, it's wrong for me. It's just wrong.
yeah,
It would have been better if there was a solid black background and it was just like, it was just that, you know?
Ooh, there's a variant coming now that you've said that.
Yeah. Well, and you want to talk crazy. I mean, we had that one for 25 and I don't even know how to say that name.
Djevik.
Durjevic.
That's not a book I'd spend 40, 50 grand on. I don't know what's going on.
And that's what the 9.8 just went for. 9.8 went for 40. A 9.6 on one of the consignment shops on Grails went for 11, and a 9.4 just sold for 7,000 on eBay. So
are you serious?
I mean, they're selling, man.
There's a lot of other books I'd have for
and
that.
And it's not like there's only 5 or 10 of those books. There's
you
like
said 200 something. I saw your post, right?
Yeah, there's almost 200 9.8s, there's almost 200 9.6s, and there's 159
That's a better
4s
cover.
or something like that. Oh, that's a beautiful cover. Oh yeah, you got this one coming, right? Yeah,
I do, but it comes with a trading card as a COA.
That's why you wanted it.
Yes. So you get
whose cover is that?
That is Delato.
I was gonna okay. It looks like Delato. I was just odded out because it's not all black usually.
Yeah.
But usually stuff is like black on black.
But it's kind of neon green, so you know what this has me thinking
That's cool.
about. It has me thinking about the neon green parallel that's coming in Spider-Man Metal as a trading card.
Taj is like, what?
What?
What's a parallel? I'm still
sorry.
figuring it all out, Taj. So don't even.
I stopped at 94 Flair. I got my Flair Ultra Marvel 94s, and that's it.
I'm telling Justin that's the greatest set ever, and he's so deep into Marvel cards. He looks at me like I'm crazy every time I say it is.
They're great.
Yes, they are great. But did you hear his voice when he said it? He said, "No, they're great."
No, I love them. I love them, especially this Magneto.
Oh such a sick card.
Yeah, it's great.
Such a sick card. Speaking of like, Taj, let me get your opinion on this because we haven't spoken about this. The Ultimate Miles Morales, whatever that book is called, Ultimate Spider-Man Miles Morales, the origin story book, the Fiona Staples variant where he's in between the two taxi cabs. Like just from an aesthetic perspective, I love that cover. Like it's so alive, it's so awesome. Is it a $7,000 book?
I don't know. I mean, I don't want to have it. It's like
I don't have it either.
No,
it's got true sales that are high 6,000s.
I can't spend that on moderns. I mean, I think that I love Martin Artens. I love Clayton Crane art, but I have, I have Clayton's Miles Morales cover, variant cover that I really love. But I find it hard to spend 6-7 grand on a modern book. I think right now I'm way more into silvers and some of the older books, just from an art perspective. I mean, I really follow cover artists and some of the older artists. I love Ghost Rider books right now, so any kind of like Jill Kane or um, even Jack Kirby, just the older classic artists where I'm just in love with those covers. I mean, they're just beautiful art that defines a period. So I'd rather go put my money in, we people refer to them as silver chips. I think that there's something to say for that. Certainly,
Silver
you can
chips.
think of
I
like,
never heard that. Okay.
yeah, like you think of like modern books as tech stocks, right? And and then older books is kind of like those blue chip books that long term they're always going to hold their value for the most part.
The modern books like tech stocks. We saw what just happened to the tech sector. We're talking 90% off the top. Let's not wish that upon the Fiona Staples variant.
Yeah, I'm not wishing that. No, definitely not.
No, I'm just I know. I just hope there are 200 people that don't rush to sell theirs for $7,000 since that's what it costs right now. If I owned one, I'd be a seller, and that's my concern. How many people that own one are saying $7,000? Hit the market with it. That's the question, right?
But I think you brought up a great point. Like you have, let's say you have 40 grand that you want to invest and you love the art or something, which I can't imagine that person loves the art. So you said there's 209 eights, right? And 209 sixes and something like 209 fours, right?
Between 150 and 200 of each. Yes.
That price has nothing to do with the book, right? That price has to do with Miles and how important they think he's going to be and what book is going to be looked at as the crown jewel of his first appearance, right?
I mean, I think that personally, the way I collect, I'd rather have a piece of original art from a Silver Age book, like John Romita Sr. Original art from a Spider-Man book that costs 40 grand, that I know that there's only one of those. Like there's only one copy of that page that was done in his hand, right?
We have 3 unique perspectives here with good points. Sorry, Taj.
Yeah. Well, so to me, like those, I can't imagine, like, I don't think there's any original art on a long-term scale that's ever gone down in value. That book, I imagine that fluctuates and that has the potential to be very volatile, and maybe I'm misguided in that, but in terms of volatility, that's why I said like tech stocks, you never know.
No, you don't. And I agree with you. I love the book. And I mean, it's done nothing in the last year and a half, but go up, right? From a 20, the Djurjevic variant, we saw 20,000, we saw multiple 30,000s, and we just saw 40,000. I mean, it's doing what everyone hopes it would. But, I still pose that, like, the question is the volatility, right? Because you have several hundred of them. How many people get the itch to sell when the price tag is 40,000? How many hit the market at the same time? If there's 4 or 5 of those available at once, there's not 4 or 5 $40,000.
Yeah,
what I would rather know, if there's 200 on the census, how many actual owners are there? Like who's, to me, that would be, and there's no way to know that, right? But that's why the original art, and I love what you had to say about that, because how many owners there are of that. Yeah. Right. That's obvious, because if one person owns, even 15 of the 200, they have a lot of control over the marketplace in a way that, they could sell one and have someone buy it at an incredible price, which is, like a very high price, and then unload the other ones and kind of catch people holding the bag. And that would make me nervous.
And in our connected market, it only really takes a few sales and a few pickups to kind of cause us a swing. There's been a couple times, I have a couple close buddies that we kind of like, discuss books we're after and maybe make decisions about what we're going to start like picking up. And with a book that's really not that common. If you buy 2 or 3 copies of it and your buddy buys 2 or 3 copies, 6 sales of that book and is enough to kind of light a fire, and people start noticing.
It becomes a narrative, and that's something I've had to learn, over time. Hey, this is a great conversation, but I've got to point out some stuff that's going on in the chat. Okay.
Yeah. What's happening? Ash is famous. I see his name everywhere. Okay. What's up, Ash?
So we're talking about Ash Gonzalez, and I don't have an example next to me, but Ash Gonzalez has done.
Oh, he's a sketch artist.
4 or 5 sketches for me, 6 sketches. Anyways, he's a fantastic artist, and he does one-of-one sketch cards. They're beautiful. They go into packs. You can get them commissioned, whatever. He's really, really good. But Gabe's Cave, okay? So Gabe's Cave is a comic book store that's located in El Dorado, Arkansas. It's actually about an hour and a half from me, and it's the best comic book store that I can drive to in a day and come back. Well, Gabe's Cave hires artists to do sketches, and then they give them away. Well, one of those artists is Ash Gonzalez. And so they're both here in the chat, and even though they don't live anywhere near each other, that's really awesome. But Gabe's Cave said this: there's a guy in Oklahoma that just came across 80 copies of a second printing of the Ultimate Fallout 4. Let me know if you need one, and I'm going to tell you, Gabe, I do, because I still need a 9.8. I don't have a 9.8. I have a 9.6 and a 9. No, I have a 9.2 now. That's what I've got. It dropped. So definitely
I'll take a few of those. I mean, depending on how much he's selling them for, I'll take 10.
I'll reach out to you, Gabe. That's for sure. But here's the other thing. Gabe is, when they do these sketch giveaways, he's saying that Ash is on the series, is the artist for their series 3 that they're going to do. So if you're not following Gabe's Cave on Instagram, please do. Also, they have a really cool YouTube channel, and Ash Gonzalez is on Instagram too. And I'm trying to remember Ash's IG name.
Ash, I think, isn't it? Might it be
Fine
his
Arts.
actual name?
Yeah, no, it's Fine Arts Ash, I think. No, Fine Arts by Ash. That's what it is. Fine Arts by Ash. You should be following him too. They're both of them are incredible for the community.
Yeah, definitely. Very cool. All right.
Yep. I just want everybody to know what was going on in the chats.
No, I was intrigued. It was saw the names flying around.
Dave, I think I've hopped on some of his either live sales or maybe some of his discussions or something before on Instagram.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very cool.
Probably so.
That's very cool.
Love it. I'm going to go.
I'm actually trying to.
I was going to say, I'm going to go back to El Dorado and probably sit down. And I've done a couple of videos with Gabe's Cave, but we got to do some more interviews with those guys. They're really awesome. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, he was saying, Gabe's Caves was saying that original art rules. It's a whole other world. I've been starting to at least learn more about it. And it's just like when you start getting into buying bigger books and you're trying to figure out, oh man, is this how much this stuff really costs? It's overwhelming at first. It's a lot to learn. It's kind of hard to know where to jump into. And kind of like you were saying with the comic cards, it's the same kind of response, right? Like, find stuff you love, find artists that you like, and don't necessarily hunt for the biggest investment, but buy what you love and really start to just get a feel for it and get into the market a little bit. But yeah, it's a lot to learn in that arena too.
Well, there's John Romita sketch cards that are pulled out of a pack in the 90s.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think I've seen some of those go up for sale. I'd love to get. I love John Romita is one of my favorite kind of artists of that era, and I love signature series books. So I'm always hunting signature series John Romita books. And there's only, we unfortunately saw the loss of two amazing artists. Really, Neil Adams was also a huge. I'm a huge fan of his and his work. Had collected a lot of his work, had sent books into CGC when he did that signing, but the sad truth is that there's a whole era of those comic artists that have really defined the period that are getting older, and your opportunity to get sketches from them or get signatures from them and go to a show and meet them and tell them how much you appreciate their art. That's a finite period.
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree.
Yeah.
And I feel like the original art window has kind of passed for some of the art that I would like to own. I really wish I'd have picked up some of that earlier. Because I want a Todd McFarlane interior splash panel, original art of Spidey.
I was watching some of the heritage auctions for interior art from Amazing Spider-Man, like 39, 60, a whole bunch of Romita stuff. And I mean, by the time of last week, they were in the 70s, 80s. I think one broke 120,000. It is just for a single interior page. That has Spider-Man and Kingpin on it. I think there was one with Green Goblin and Spider-Man. That one I think was at 120 last time I checked, and there was one with Kingpin and Spider-Man that was at like 80 or 90 or something. Just insane. And I think I don't know who it is that's buying them, but I think that at least the rumors that I've heard is you have a lot of investment firms and everybody that are getting into fine art and getting into original comic art. Because when when there's inflation and you need somebody safe to put your money, they're starting to put it in collectibles.
Yeah, I mean, this is the
Absolutely.
art of our generation. Look, I'm just going to show some of the splash panels here.
Oh, stop it, dude. Dang.
Can it
That's
zoom
beautiful.
in? I want to get, there we go.
Oh my
And
God.
this way. So that's a full panel interior page. That's a full interior
Hey,
page.
first Venom ever.
Hey, I had to show this because this is our thumbnail tonight.
It is, yeah. Oh, I
Yeah.
love that.
Oh, I love that one.
Yeah.
Look at that, a Wolverine.
Ooh,
With the
look at that
signature at the
scowl
top.
on his face. I've never seen that. Where's that? And it doesn't
This
matter,
is,
but I've
yeah,
never seen that.
yeah. These are interior. That's that was Kirby.
John Kirby,
Yeah,
Jack Kirby.
Jack Kirby. That's what I meant to say.
Dang, I've never seen Wolverine look that way. That's awesome.
That's great.
Let it focus
And
again.
what was Wolverine smoking over there?
Yeah.
He used to back in the day. He was always smoking back in the day.
Speaking of that, single page sells for 630,000 for Jack Kirby.
Yeah, that's not an individual. That's definitely some.
It was this one, Cap Goes Wild. That's the one that sold, but you can't see that one very well. Well, maybe you can, but that's one page.
I've seen that page before.
One page, all one page in a comic book, and I'm showing you these. Oh, you do? I'm showing you these because of the fact that's one page. I love that. I'm showing you these because these are Kirby art here. I love that. Do you remember that one? Where'd Manu go? That's one page. But I'm showing these because Marvel Beginnings, which is a new comic card set that's coming out, is going to have the ability to get a card redeemed or achieved where you get a splash panel, full splash panel. Hold on, could you hear us, Manu?
No, I lost everything for a moment. I'm sorry. I'm back now.
Okay, well, I was going to show you this one because I think you like it. Wolverine and Magneto ripping his adamantium out.
Yeah, that's dope, dude. That's dope.
In Marvel Beginnings, oh gosh, I got to show this one too. That's one panel. That's one page in a comic book, right?
Love it.
Let's see. That's not that. So we're done with that.
I had that book too. Well, I don't know if that was ASM 50. Is that what it is? Or
that was 50. Spider-Man No More. So I'm showing
50? Okay.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure it is. I'm showing you these because in Marvel Beginnings, the new set that's coming out, you're going to get a card. You're going to get the ability to get a redemption card or get an achievement that Upper Deck is going to send you an interior splash panel. So it's a full page with no other panels as a trading card, but an 11x8 with a, bordered like the comic book, comic cut cards, Manu. Where the comic cut's in the middle, but this is going to be an 11x8 comic cut of the splash panel, and it's going to be considered a part of the official set.
But you have to send out.
I want this. I'm going to start buying cards.
Yes. And to me, I love it because when we do this, there may be a full panel splash page in this, but you'll never see it because it's slabbed. So this is going to be another way to enjoy the art and the books inside the interior panels.
So I'll tell you, that's one thing actually I love about pressing books is that you have the time to kind of go through them. And again, this goes back to people buying things and not even flipping them over. But, there's a lot of collectors out there that don't even open the books and appreciate the interior art. And there's different motivations for being in collecting, but there's some amazing stuff that's buried inside those pages. And sometimes I'll just sit there as I'm, making sure all the pages are there and flip through and be like, man, this is such great. Like, you see some of those hidden gem covers, and those are the ones that are in there that are some great stuff, great interior pages, great stories. And just like, man, this is, it's unfortunate that people don't get to see those, especially in hand. Or even just read the letters. You go in there and you go letters to the editor and you read, Stan Lee and people respond into these letters. And you're like, man, this is crazy. I'm reading stuff like read a chat board from the 70s.
Who's 60s. Is it George something other? The author of Game of Thrones wrote a letter to the editor, and it's one of the notes one of the things about the comic book.
Yeah, actually, I read a little bit about that. It's one of the Fantastic Fours. He actually was published in there a lot. I think in 3 or 4 different editions of Fantastic Four, either in like 48. I think it's one of the big ones. In the early 30s or 40s, and he'd been in there a few times. And some of those are great. I was reading one and it was just crazy where it's like, somebody writing Stan Lee and saying like, I didn't like this storyline. Like, why did you make, this guy do that and all this stuff? And
George
and
R. Martin.
I don't know.
That's what it was.
It was crazy. It was like something where I don't know if it was like applied that there might have been like a homosexual relationship or something. Somebody was just like up in arms. And Stan Lee basically wrote back and was like, look, this is why we write comic books, like to push the boundaries, and I can write whatever I want. And I was like, go Stan Lee. Like, yeah.
So Gabe Cave says, do you all know that Todd, talking about Todd McFarlane, has never done a store exclusive, but they asked him if he would be willing to do a store exclusive on Gabe's Cave Spawn number 333. That would be dope.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it's happening.
Yeah. Is there another message? What did they?
I'm looking. I'm scrolling. What's the result of the conversation, Gabe?
I hope it works out, Gabe. Congratulations on the effort and the communication to begin with. But I hope you guys get that done. That's amazing.
Yeah, and I'm sorry you had to like give up your firstborn child or wherever that
whatever
eternal soul or like
right.
whatever that was.
They do. Todd turned a. What is that? Turned us down. Oh, he built the drama. All right, I'm DMing Todd. Okay.
All right. Well,
let's all DM Todd.
It's funny. I just got I don't really buy a lot of toys, and I see the Spawn figures in the background. I was telling Manu that I picked up a couple from the Spawn store that just came in today, and I got his new set. This guy. Let me see if I get in the camera right here.
Oh, whoa! I haven't seen that one.
I think this is the one that just came out. The Spawn.
Oh, Justin loves this stuff. So yeah, this is good.
Oh, and yeah, you see Spawn right there.
And then I don't know if you guys, for those of you that have never seen Haunt, like Haunt's just an amazing character, and really dark, cool art. Ryan Otley did a lot of the art for those books. Greg Capullo and Todd McFarlane. They have some amazing art in the series. And that they had a promotion where if you spend $100 in there, you get this like silvered out Gunslinger Spawn number 1.
Is that a GameStop? You get the promotion at GameStop?
Yeah. I think it was a GameStop promotion. Yeah.
Well, I say that because I walked into a GameStop the other day and I saw comic books behind the shelf, and they were Spawn comic books, but the line was too long and I had to go back to work.
That might have been it. I think it could have gone through GameStop or his store. But yeah, so I guess, I don't know what I'm going to do with these.
I was asking you, do you open those? Did you just buy those to get the comic books? Is that what you did?
I got this one to get the comic, but the only toys I do have are my Spawn Series 1 that I kept in the packages, again, from the 90s.
Those are dope, dude.
They're still in there, and I'll keep them still in the packages, even though the plastic's a little banged up. But one thing I do like, because I do like Crane art, and maybe I'll get to see Todd McFarlane at a show, but I'd love to get a little sketch or something, or a signature on the box.
I tell you, the sketches that Crane does on comics in person, like if you go visit them, is much better than what you get if it's through CGC.
Oh yeah. Where's mine?
Oh, is that a fact?
Yeah, I'm making up this part, but I imagine he's got to do, a significant amount in a short period of time.
Yeah.
But when you go to him at a show, he just takes.
I will say, because I have experience with this, it takes a lot. So like, if you think you're going to go and just go to a show and be like, hey, can I get a sketch? Like, you plan on camping out, plan on being the first one there. I'll show you one that I got. So this was 2 years ago at MegaCon.
Let's see.
That one is so, yeah, let's make that one big. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I had Clayton do that 2 years ago at MegaCon. And that was me going every day, trying to like get time with him, and then waiting until the last minute on Sunday till the very end of the show for him to like have a minute. And the only reason I got is because somebody canceled and pulled their name out of the spot, and I jumped in. And I mean, that's probably the 4th time I've seen Clayton in person and chatted with him and stuff. So I feel like it's definitely a little tricky to get, but you're certainly going to get more, and it's a good experience to do one-on-one, to just to do that.
Makes sense.
It is beautiful. Gabe's Cave, get Clayton Crane. I'll come camp out at the shop.
He just finished his road tour this year. I'm sure, like, if you talk to Black Flag and for places, for next year's tour, I'm sure there's a way to get on the list.
Wasn't there a post recently? Black Flag like he showed your book as well on their page.
Yeah,
as well?
yeah, they actually reposted that, recently.
Yeah,
And they moved,
nice.
they relocated to Florida, so they're Floridians now too.
All right, cool.
Get close to CGC, yeah.
I don't want to take it too. I mean, I don't know where this comment went, but there was a comment early on from Terry. And Terry, if you're still in here, I want to address this because you do make a good point. Oh, here it is. And Taj, I want to hear from you about this. Let me know what you think, because this actually makes sense, and I didn't think about this. And this ties into what we just said about putting books into better bags and boards, the acid-free stuff, and then not worrying about changing them in a few years. But maybe we still have to, because Terry says, a thing to consider with acid-free as well as older books are cheap paper that have acid in them, and the acid-free boards will accumulate that acid from those books over time. So if the book is pushing this acid out, it can still, wouldn't that, let me get some clarity on that. Does that mean we should change boards, or if the book's got the acid, it's got the acid anyway?
I mean, it's still gonna. I think that the concern is just oxidation. But the thing is I really don't. And there's people that get really into the different types of paper, and there's in the book restoration and book actual book collection. There's a lot of science that goes in that. I can't even begin to say what's going to happen to these glossy pages that we are using now and the type of ink. I mean, I've had books that I've pressed in just not knowing, and the ink and the paper is so bad that the ink pulls right off, that you get a lot of ink pull from just a regular book. That happens with a lot of the Read Pop books when they were doing a lot of their Read Pop exclusives. I pressed one of the John Tyler Christopher Spider-Man negative variants, and the ink just came right off that thing. And I had it low at 135 degrees, but just because of the paper quality they used and the ink they used, it just it couldn't even hold up to a normal press. So I don't know what's going to happen on an infinite time scale with those books.
Wow.
If they're gonna hold up, what these modern books, maybe they're all going to fuse their pages together.
Oh gosh, we'll know in 20
So get them
years.
slabbed early, and you don't have to worry about it.
Well, I mean, they still stuck together in the slab.
Yeah, I mean, they still age in the slab. Yes, you protect them a little bit, but they're still going to continue to oxidize and age. They're not, even though they're hermetically sealed, they're hermetically sealed in there with all their other stuff.
Hermetically?
Yeah, hermetically.
What's it mean?
Airtight.
Oh, okay. I mean, I just wanted to know what the scientists would tell me it meant.
Yeah, it's closed off from the environment. You'll hear that they have the limousines that are.
I'm a hermit.
Yeah. Is that what you are? You're hermetically sealed from the environment?
Well, yes, I am. Why, yes, I am.
No, we're breaking that seal. That's happening.
Oh, God. I'll start traveling. I'm coming to the Dallas Card Show. No, wait.
Oh, don't get my hopes up.
No, I meant to say the National, but I'm not. But that's coming up, right?
Yes, coming up in late July. But before
I looked into it.
That would be great. Not this. Well, this weekend I'm going to a card show in Shreveport, Louisiana, and then next weekend we're going to HeroCon in Charlotte.
Oh, that's right.
Cool. HeroCon. I'm actually. So I'll give a shout out to my favorite. I don't know if you guys know what facilitators are, but there's a whole group of people that if you want a signature from an artist or an individual that you can send their books to witness your signatures and then help you get them graded. I work with a gentleman, Rich Henn, who's been in the business for a very long time. Probably one of the only people that I would trust to send my books to. He cleans and presses comics as well. And I'm actually sending some books to him to go to HeroCons for Steranko's autographs on some.
Is Steranko going to be at HeroCon?
Yeah, he's going to be at HeroCon. They have a great guest list.
Well, all I care about is the fact that a bunch of Marvel card guys are going to be there. It's going to be great. I'm giving your IG handle for people in the chat because they're asking about your information as a presser.
And we'll
I will say
the YouTube channel as well.
Yeah, and I'll say that I definitely lean more toward the education side. I because of my demands of my day job, I will just be honest and say I don't accept a lot of books to get pressed. I mean, it maybe in some certain scenarios, but again, there's plenty of good pressers out there, and I'm just not in the business to be able to do lots of volume stuff. So it's more one-offs, maybe some of the harder stuff or more interesting things. So it just depends on which day you get me and whether I'm like on tilt or how I'm feeling it.
All right, so I got a question for you. What is the most expensive book you've ever graded?
I think the one that I've worked on, I did a Journey into Mystery 85, and I think that was the most expensive one at the time. I have a Daredevil 1 that's a graded 4.0 that I'm getting ready to crack and do stain removal on, and that's going to be the one that's gonna make me a little nervous. But I will say you have to kind of treat them all like they're all $10 books, because if you start get a little, since you get a little crazy with
them all the same. It's just a process. It's all the process.
Just a process. That's right.
I know that
one. Like other ones.
So Gabe's Cave asked, do you know Dennis Schaefer?
No, I do not.
Okay. I do not either. Maybe he's talking about somebody that's going to be a HeroCon. I don't know.
And Taj, really quickly, do you have a recommendation for a presser? Like, are there pressers? I know you mentioned you would work with Rich Hen, but you also work with him for other reasons. Are there other pressers that you're just like, yeah, I vouch for these folks?
Yeah, I think on the IG community, there's a couple good people, but I think there's kind of a couple different groups. Like you'll find people that are competent pressers that you can send your modern books to get a good like quick press before you send it off for stop. Then you have people that are like specialists, maybe in Silver Age books or Golden Age or something a little older, that really put a lot of time and effort in there. And those people I know through the Captain Mike's forum. So Captain Mike's has 2 books that he put out, the CPR guide. That's where I started learning about him. There's a few guys on that forum that
can you say that book name one more time? It's comic book pressing.
It's called CPR. It's on Amazon. It's was it Conserve, Protect, Restore is what it stands for. There's a link on Amazon. I talk about it a lot in my YouTube videos. But great resources, and if you go on their Facebook group, you'll find a lot of guys. John Studer's one of them that's on there. And I think there's definitely, you pay for service. So if you have a really expensive book, if you're talking about working on a over $1,000, $2,000-$3,000 book, there's only certain people that I would trust with that book, and definitely do your homework before you send a book out to somebody. But those people are out there. If they want to reach out, I can get you in touch with people that I would trust with a book of that value.
Thank you, Taj. That's a very good answer. I appreciate that. Yeah.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't give my presser shout out, Valor Comics.
What's
services,
up?
Daniel Dunn, and he has created a lot of 9.8s for me, books that came out of storage lockers that should have never been a 9.8, or well, I say never, they became 9.8s, but I didn't think
he's
they
created
would be
9.8s for he's created 9.8s for you, and recently you used CGC and they dropped grades.
I was gonna say I don't recommend CGC. That's what I was gonna say.
I will say that's the consensus. I mean, CCS, they will do a basic press for you, like with the modern books, but they're definitely not going to go to the level of detail that any private third-party presser is going to do, especially when it comes to cleaning. They do, if you have a book that's got heavy soiling on it, and I'm talking like you flip this thing over and it looks like some kid dragged it through the mud or something, and they're going to do a very light wipe and maybe very, very fine amounts of removal, but they're not going to go to town and make sure they get all that out of there. It takes a lot of time, guys, like hands-on time. If you go and watch some of my videos, I can press it down and a video is still like 40-50 minutes, and that's with putting 8 times 10 times speed on the parts where I'm actually hands-on cleaning the book. So it takes time to get those results.
And you guys got to watch the videos. Like I drink coffee to the videos as if it's just it's edutainment is what it is. But you got to check them out. Taj and I, we first connected on Instagram, but we didn't have a personal relationship until I saw some of the videos. And then I reached out to him. I said, dude, this is amazing. Like you make my favorite videos for any of this sort of stuff. It's so easy to listen to, easy to watch. And he picks great music for his transitions. And you're going to learn a ton. And one of the first books we did, that Maximum Carnage Acclaim book, is actually one of your videos. And I still watch that video from time to time. I just go back and watch it.
That's a tricky book, man. Talk about a flimsy book.
I'm
Yeah,
excited.
and you know, how many did we end up doing after that? That was our first. We must have
Yeah,
done
that
6
was
or 7
crazy. I think
since.
I probably out of like rarish books, I think I pressed a lot of those. I've done over 10 of those books, and I don't think that I mean that's a lot of those books to handle considering how
Yeah.
Yeah,
few of them there are out there.
I think there's
Wow.
less than 100 on the census, so
Yeah, and
if I'm not mistaken.
yeah,
Yeah, in any grade, I mean, less than 100.
yeah.
There's only 13 or 14 90.
And it's nerve-wracking to deal with them because of how thin they are. They're like an ash can. If you know what an ash can
Yeah.
is, like it's like 2 or 3
Mhm.
pages. They're flimsy, and that's why they're so banged up and hard to get in high grade.
All right,
All right, I see
I'm gonna show
I
this
saw a
comment.
question down there too about pressing every era too.
Yeah, I was
Yes,
gonna
yeah.
address Gabe's
Yeah,
cave, and
yeah.
then we'll go back to it. So he's just pointed out that had a book. He has had a book that he resubmitted to CGC that came back in 9.8. So it is possible,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely happens.
but
Yeah, I've heard very cool stories as well.
mhm. So
Maybe
back
you
to
you have like okay, we're gonna get more technical again. Okay,
Mhm.
you have inter-rater reliability and intra-rater reliability, and I'll define two of those concepts. So like inter-rater reliability is like you have 10 graders at CGC, you give them all the same book, and you ask them to grade it. The inter-rater reliability is like how accurate, how
Mhm.
consistent are all those grades going to be? Are they all going to come back 9.8, 9.6? And you can imagine human error, whatever you want to call it, you're going to have maybe plus or minus a 0.2 or a 0.5, depending on the area, right? And then you have intra-rater. So if you gave somebody the same book 5 times and they were blinded to the fact that was the same book, what's their what grade are they going to give it multiple times? So there's definitely intra and inter level variation at CGC.
Mhm.
I mean, it's just part of it. It's not some magic where they take some computer system and scan the book and do an MRI, something. It's
Well,
a human being,
and
right?
there's still a lot of human error in card grading, but one thing that I think they have is they do keep images of the cards, so they can pull up what is a PSA 10 or a BGS
Right,
9.5
right.
and compare it next to it if they say, well, I think this is a 10, but let me see what it looks like compared to the other 10s
And that's why
that
I'll
are
never
on.
send the same comic in the same submission.
Oh,
We've
smart, smart.
we've talked about
We've
that.
talked
Yeah.
about this. I
Mhm.
never send I made that mistake with ASM 316. I sent 8 of those in, and I would never ever suggest
Yeah.
doing that again, because it's human nature to scale them all. You know, even if
Mhm.
if they're all 9.8s, you're gonna in your mind start putting them on a gradient and be like, oh, this one's a little better than that one, and then you're gonna go, well, hey, if that's a little better than that
Yeah.
one, then maybe that's a 9.8 and this is a 9.6. But wait a minute, this one's a little worse. So you're not grading to a standard anymore. You're grading to each other, and you
Mhm.
end up
Yeah.
creating a distribution within your own books, and you don't want
Oh
that.
man, that's a beautiful analogy of how we might look down on somebody else if we're comparing them to each other. Like you can't do that. All right. So
Um,
back to this. Should you press any book regardless of error?
Yeah, and I wanted to mention this because
Era.
I have pressed
Era.
some bizarre stuff. I've done we did Wizards. I've done every era comic. I've done magazines, Hulk magazines for the Bill Sienkiewicz signing. I pressed a lot of those, get prepped. I've done Life magazines, which are huge. I did Time magazines. I've done video game direction, inserts or whatever for the old Mario Brothers
Wow.
one. Somebody wanted those pressed out. I pressed out some of those. I've done the mini books. When you get into it, it's just about dialing in, knowing the paper type and knowing what temperatures you should be doing it at. And yeah, you basically do that. I've thought about doing cars before. I haven't tried it yet. I don't know if that's a thing in your guys' hobby, but
It's not.
yeah, I'm sure it could be done.
Oh, I'm sure, but they don't recommend it. Yeah.
Taj, you and I
Well,
are going to talk about this off air, and then we'll bring it back to the
yeah.
weekly. But we'll talk
You
about
get
this.
me canceled in the trading card space.
Oh no, oh no. Well, I had that conversation with some of the whitening stuff. I actually was in MegaCon, and I started talking to the guys at Reese's Rare Comics about whitening and whether, by the letter of the law, you're not doing restoration of the comic as far as CGC is concerned.
Mhm.
However, you can make a case on whether you personally would want to buy a book that's been cleaned or whitened using any method, whether it met the definitions of restoration by CGC. So
Yeah.
kind of have some of the semantic and collecting
It's
perspectives.
Yeah, in the trading card space, it's like, how did it come out of the pack? And the idea that the card ever went up in condition out of the pack since it's been out of the pack is kind of like the issue. You know what I mean? Does
Yeah,
that make sense? And
yeah.
so I'm not saying that's how everyone
But
views it.
I make every comic better than they came out of off the
Yeah.
shelf. I mean,
Right. I totally agree. There is something different about ripping the pack and it coming out of it. It's a little different than the comic book off the shelf or, delivered direct or however you receive
yeah,
it.
those you get nice little packs and boxes, and we get a bunch of stuff thrown in a freaking box and shipped off.
Which is why there's a lot more.
There's
There's a lot more leadway in the ability to clean and press and grade, probably.
There's a lot more empathy for the comic book. It's like,
Yes.
all right, let's clean this thing
But
up.
it just bothers me. I go to the store and the new paper, because the way it is, you look at it from the side and there's ripples in it, and I can't stand
Why
that.
is
I
it
mean,
so wavy? Why are
It
Marvel
does
books
feel
so
very
bad?
wavy.
it is very wavy. And those books will still get 9/8, but I would never encapsulate that book.
They look
if I'm getting a book
terrible.
signed, or graded, like I want that thing looking like glass.
Wait a minute.
I
Are you
want
saying that
flat.
it can be wavy in the slab and get a 9/8?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Those books, if you still don't have any of the major defects and it's got that wavy cover, that's just how most of those books are printed. So that's considered, manufacturing type stuff, and it'll still 9/8 with those covers. And people will take those books and get them graded and know that and they'll still come back 9/8. But again, like if I want it encapsulated, I want it flat. I want it to present really well in there. And after you press it, it looks a lot different.
Yeah,
you don't feel good having that in your collection. And from my perspective, I've had to sell some of those dirt cheap, not because they weren't 9/8, but because I didn't feel good saying, yeah, you got that book for me, that you look at it from any angle, it's all wavy and ripply and doesn't look nice in the case. Like, I just think that's terrible. I couldn't keep them, and I sell them for way less than whatever they're worth. But they're modern books. It's not like they're huge, costly books, but still, I just got to get rid of them if I ever buy one and someone doesn't give me the proper sort of pictures to let me know that this book is wavy in the case. I don't like that.
Oh, it makes sense. I can imagine receiving it and going, what? How did this get a 9/8?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Sin City asks, knowing that there are human factors to pressing, is it also a gamble of potentially damaging a book after pressing when it is?
Yes.
Sending a book to see its potential of damaging your book regardless of what you've done.
I mean, they're
living out of a
knock on
wound.
wood. I mean, I'm as careful as possible, but there's always a risk. There's a risk, you drop the book yourself and just weird stuff happens. You're shipping books around and weird things can happen. I've left a book I've bricked one of my own books, leaving it in the press overnight. And now you get to have nightmares about waking up like, did I leave the press on?
Taj, now I'm going to be bothering you all the time. I'm going to be like, Taj, did you get the books out?
Luckily, they're pretty robust. I mean, the scariest part is when you're using an eraser or you're wiping you're wiping a comic down, and your like cloth may catch the edge, like you worry about tearing it, or there's a lot of edge wear, there's a lot of chipping, and you might tear off a piece if you're too harsh with it or you wipe it in the wrong way. There's always a risk. And that's part of your triage and knowing when to stop too. And if people, that's why I don't need that stress in my life. So I don't press certain books. And sometimes I'll tell people like, I don't feel comfortable working on this book. If somebody's going to send me a $high book, but it's really torn up, like this probably isn't worth the risk. I mean, it could be pressed, but it's not going to necessarily improve it. And I feel like, if I'm going to clean some of this stuff, there's a risk of the page, tearing or doing damage to it. So yeah, there's that risk, and you just have to know the limits and know some boundaries and not push things, and work with somebody that you trust, and also like come clean. Like I've had a back of a page of a book tear when I was working on it. There was already a tear there, and I got a little too close to it and I ended up tearing the page a little more. And I talked to the person. I said, I apologize. This happened with it. I guess in that situation, it already had a lot of other stuff going on. So that little bit of extra tear wasn't going to be impactful on the grade overall. But yeah, right. It's a process that can happen.
Yeah.
Do we have any other pressing questions here?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, the one thing that I want to really talk about is, okay, so we know Taj has already mentioned that there's a process to whiten the book, right? Remove some of the tanning and stuff, and using ultraviolet light, if I understand correctly, like this.
Blue LEDs.
Blue LEDs. You're using
Yeah.
this. Now we'll get into the technical side as well. We'll talk about that. How is this going to affect the market of these books? Are people going to start cracking out old books to effectively improve the color? And does the color, we're not just talking page color, we're talking front and back tanning, that's going
Yeah.
to improve grade, right? So there's going to be
Right.
reason to crack out these old books.
Well, I'll even blow your mind a little more. You don't even have to crack them out.
Dude,
Well,
shut this stream down. Let's go to eBay. We'll be back on Tuesday. Let's
yeah.
start shopping.
So I'll give you a little overview, and actually this might be a good, it's getting a little late over here, so this would be a good last topic
Okay.
for me over here. But yeah, so I would say that the biggest revolution in kind of the comic book cleaning pressing era has been the advancement of stain removal and page whitening. And this again goes back to some of the pioneers on the Captain Mike's Facebook page playing with new techniques. But there's kind of two different methods. One of them is referred to as hot overlay press. And basically, not to freak you guys out, it involves spray, like misting peroxide onto a piece of paper. So basically what you do is you have your comic, you take a sheet of paper, you mist it with hydrogen peroxide, you lay it over there like you're almost laying window tint, and then you heat press it like that for 15 minutes, you let it for an hour. And basically, once it dries in the press, after you peel it off, the foxing and tanning will come with it, and you'll be able to, and a lot of the stains will come with it. So you can repeat that process 2 or 3 times. Does not affect the colors that are in the book. Very rarely you'll see some bleed through on maybe reds and some of the different specific colors. But for the most part, you're not affecting any of the colors on the thing. You're just removing foxing or tanning on the page. You can do that to the inside cover and the top cover. So that's one entire area. And then the other area is referred to as blue LED. And so I now have this tub that has blue LED lights that you put the book into. You can mist that with peroxide as well, and then leave it in there for a couple hours to be able to whiten you can whiten the front back cover, you can whiten the interior pages. And it actually is a process that's used in people that collect toys and video game consoles to whiten older toys. So the same lightening that happens in older toys or video game consoles, people have been using this blue LED method to lighten the plastic and whiten the plastic in that process. And I won't get into the technicals, but it just basically has to do with those LED frequencies being able to impact that color spectrum and then basically break up that yellowing or some of those discolorations.
Does it come back over time?
I think over the same time scale as it basically occurred. So you can I have some pictures on my Instagram page of some of the recent ones that I've done. It's pretty stark. But thinking about like the impact, it's so time consuming, and it really is so nerve wracking. I mean, you're talking about like in terms of risk to the damaging the book, like there's only very few candidates that I would actually work on. And it takes so long that I don't think that it's going to be something that's widespread applied. Again, it's changed the way that I collect a little bit because I can see stains or I can see foxing on a book and be like, hey, I could probably, lighten that up a little bit or remove that specific stain. But I don't think it's something that's going to become so pervasive that it's going to impact the market on that scale.
Okay, that's interesting. Gabe from Gabe's Cave said, game changer. People are going to be buying these books with the potential for a point or two bump, and I think that could happen. But what you've just said, it's such an involved process, it's such a careful process that it's not going to be someone that everyone's running to do. It's not as simple as buying a book, cracking it, sending it to a presser. This is like a very specialty thing
because of the requirements of so when when you put that overlay on there, you're basically peeling that thing back up there, and some of the page is actually like sticking to it. So I would never do this with a book that has a lot of chipping or tears to the cover. So if you have something in the 3.0 to 4.5 range, that's a little iffy. You want something that's got a solid cover, not a lot of edge wear. It doesn't have chips coming off or loose that are hanging off of it. But yeah, like I also, because of the time requirement, wouldn't do this on a book that's worth less than $1,000 raw. It takes several days of work to effectively remove the stains or lighten the pages. And if I were to charge somebody to do this, it would be in the hundreds of dollars. I mean, just because of the time, it would be, $300, $400 for me to like sit there and spend all this time on a single book.
What does a Ghost Rider
Absolutely.
1 go for now?
I think those ones have been up in price, maybe like $1,000 for a 780 or something like that.
Graded 780.
Yeah, I think Marvel Spotlight 5s were the.
Yeah, I don't have that one. I'm trying to think of a good book that would be.
Yeah, so Marvel Spotlight 5's a good one. I'm going to be doing that Daredevil 1. Things with a white cover. So I think on Daredevil 1, that's a good example because it's got a lot of white background. Marvel Spotlight and Ghost Rider 1 are both those black covers, so it won't. I mean, it'll lighten the lettering on there, which would look really good, but it's going to be most noticeable on white covers.
Mm-hmm.
When you're talking about the page color improving, obviously this is going to sound really silly that I'm about to say this. You have to treat each page individually, right? Like,
yes, yeah,
okay.
It's like 2 to 3 hours per page. So you have to sit there and flip the book every 2-3 hours, go like page to page. So yeah, that's why it's like a long process. And
it's good
in
that this
between
isn't
that,
easy.
the paper can get a little you can get a little distortion in the paper. So you have to stop, humidify the book, press it, and then start again. It's just very involved.
Do you write out a scope of work with each book? Do you sit down and go, okay, with this book, I'm going to go steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or do you just kind of have it memorized?
I mean, in my head, I have a game plan of what I'm going to do and what book needs what, and then some of it's kind of triage as I go to see how it's shaping up. If I need to go back and clean it up, I got Daredevil once.
Yeah, but there's 7 O's and a 3-0. He says y'all need to talk.
Let me get mine out of the way and see how it goes, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, I'm loving the technique. I mean, again, with anything that you're starting new, you have to practice it a lot and try it out. And I went through a lot of trials, but it's surprisingly safe, and the results you're getting, like I've been doing the Captain America 112 Steranko cover that is all white, and let me see if I can pull that one up. Some of the before and afters of that were just like basically unbelievable.
Dude, they were. I mean, if I'm thinking of the right one, when you pull it up, I'll know. But the results that I've seen have been so crazy. It just makes me think. It just makes my, I get real.
So as much as it could show up on here, but you can see the difference in the yellowing.
It's a huge difference. It's insane.
Wow.
So that's an example of
and that's
both
the same book.
Overlay press. Yeah, same book.
That's absolutely crazy. You show something like that to me, and I just feel like going shopping. Like, that's absolutely insane.
Well, and I'll show you. That's why I also bought this book. And let's see if you guys know the front from showing you the back. So I picked this book up on one of Elite Comics sales. But
no, I don't know that back. What is it?
That's Knievel.
It's a key. It's a key book. So you can see that stain on there and a bunch of soiling.
Don't show it yet. Don't show it yet. I know the
back. You want to see it?
He doesn't want to see it right yet. He wants to get
that one.
It's an AS. 129.
129. That's it.
That's the back of 129. Well, there you go. Yep. Nice, Justin. Nice.
I needed a little help. Thank you.
So I got, and I mean, like I said, I like signature series. I saw this book and I'm like, I bet I can do something about that stain. So I'm going to work on this. I'll probably have a little bit of a short video coming out on that. And I'm going to send it to the Jerry Conway signing at CGC. So it was a 4.5 with that stain. We'll see, maybe I'm aiming for a 6.0 or something like that, which in that book would be a pretty significant jump.
Taj, not to get you lost in another hobby, Spider-Man Metal, which we're going to talk about, an update on the product release here in a little bit, guys. Spider-Man Metal is going to have Jerry Conway comic cuts with his auto.
I see. I need to learn over here. This is awesome.
Yeah.
All right, guys. It's getting late for me, but I'll take if there's a last question or something to.
Well, just so you know, Gabe's Cave says, "Yeah, definitely need to talk."
Yeah, he's on it.
Well, and I just want to say, these guys, they have big books. Like,
it sounds like it. Yeah.
Amazing Fantasy 15. You heard about the first Daredevils. And other major books.
I keep looking at all these early Spider-Man, Superman books, like the Superman, 1 and 7. Those covers are always so dirty, and I'm like, man, I bet you I could do some things with those. But that's another one where you're like, am I going to crack open, a $20,000 book?
Right.
Let's do it.
Yeah. I'm up to, I think, 5 or 6 now, so we'll see. Like I guess maybe I need to break the 10 level, and then I'll be like, oh.
It's only a matter of time, Taj. It's only a matter of time.
Yeah, it escalates quickly.
Well, I have the Fantastic Four 48, 49, and 50. I would want you to crack those and look at them.
Yeah, those are a great series. I just finally got a 50 coming to me. That's I was waiting that. And 49 is a book that's an always buy for me. That's such a great cover. It's a great time to buy that book right now too. You're talking about buying the dip, like if you get a chance.
Here's a question.
No, so hydrogen peroxide, when it heats up, it basically turns to water. So there's no residual anything on the book. It's technically undetectable, and by the definition of basically restoration, you have to be like adding the technical definition, like you're adding something to the book. So you're replacing a piece of torn paper. You're trying to color something. Doing color touch, something like that. So it doesn't fall into the technical category. Now, granted, if I send them a 70 or 80-year-old book that looks like it's been bleached, dropped in there, you might get a docked for heavy cleaning, which is something that they can dock for. If you have,
what is that?
Wow.
Yeah, tell us what that does from a grade standpoint, or do you get a
I'm not sure like what they're you won't get a restoration grade for that, but you will get docked if they do identify heavy cleaning, and usually what that is scuffs to the cover, like people went a little crazy with the eraser or something, or if you use like magic eraser or something that's common I'll say sometimes used, that magic eraser is just basically sandpaper. So it's melamine pads that are the equivalent of like microderm sandpaper. And people who use those to clean books you're rubbing the gloss off and you're rubbing the paper off. So, and you can see that. So if you turn it on, you see the light and you can see where those scratches are, and CGC will see that and you'll get docked for heavy cleaning on there.
Taj, I love how comfortable you are with these scientific words.
What did I say? I'm like, what did I say?
I have no idea.
All of them you said.
I have no idea what you said, but it sounded really smart, and I feel like people think I'm smarter for just being on the screen with you.
Oh,
Taj is that guy.
Thank you.
Hey, so tell me again, what do you do professionally outside of?
Yeah, so I'm a faculty member at the University of Central Florida. I have a genomics lab where I study infectious diseases, and basically I build family trees of bacteria and viruses to understand how they spread in the community and be able to track them. I've been pretty involved in our response to SARS-CoV-2 and trying to understand the emergence of variants and the spread in the U.S. We've done some work in that area, publishing papers in the Southeast, and I have a full lab where we train graduate students and try to do great research in that field in the College of Medicine. So, that's awesome. my day gig, and why I can't. Usually, I should be writing grants or writing papers, but I have to have some hobby, take me away a little bit.
But that is wonderful. It's been a real joy to have you on the channel this afternoon.
Thanks. Well, I appreciate being here. Evening. Yeah. I've had a great time chatting with you guys. Obviously, you can see once I get excited about a topic, I can go on and on about it.
Good, man.
We'll
good.
When Manu gets some of his books back, we'll have you back on to talk about maybe what you did to get him to those grades, if that's okay with you, Manu.
What? Yes. As often as we could have Taj on, I would love it. I love speaking to Taj. This has been super fun. I thank you for coming. This is awesome, man.
Yeah. Well, thanks again, guys. Appreciate it.
Awesome.
I'll bow out for the evening, but I hope to talk to you guys again soon. And again, thanks for having me.
We'll do it. Follow him on Instagram at Epicomicology. Great name.
Yeah. So I'll give you the thing. It's basically it's like Epicomicology because I'm technically an epidemiologist. So it's, like epidemiology is the study of things that are upon the people. So I figured epicomicology is like the study of things upon the comics. It's my little internal play on words.
There was so much there, and it's epic.
Yeah.
It's epic. I love it. Yeah.
Epic.
It's epic.
Yep.
Exactly. It's my guy, Epic. And his YouTube channel. Learn everything from there as well, please.
Yep.
All right, guys. Take care.
Right. Thanks.
Have a good night.
Take care. we're not ending the stream.
No,
That
we're
was
here.
that was just letting him go off so he could prepare for, pressing and cleaning books and all that stuff.
That was
So
terrific.
that was a lot of fun. I learned a lot. And it gives me a lot of hope about, some of these books can have better grades with the advancements in pressing and grading.
Did you see those color changes?
I still am blown away.
I know who saw him. Gabe's Cave saw him. I know
He
Gabe's
did.
Cave saw that color change.
Hey, look, and they don't mess around. They're the real deal
No.
from
I
a
can tell.
comic book store. Okay,
Yeah,
so
I can definitely tell.
people want to hear about Spider-Man metal. Okay,
Let's do it. Let's talk Spidey metal.
all right. So how do I do this? So I have a strong desire to do this as gracefully and politically as I can. Okay, without
Oh no.
getting people in trouble potentially. So let me share my screen here. Boom. And yeah, we're going to share this one first. So this is the Dave and Adams screen.
Mm-hmm.
And Dave and Adams, by the way, the product's up for, it's $5.99. I get a little bit of a break because of my membership. So
Oh, okay.
don't get your hopes up if you're not a member. But if you are a member, you'll save $10 on 600. So what you'll find is that they show that the product is set to release June 29th of 2022, which is a solid 15 days away, right? And has a lot of our hopes up. Well, can y'all see that highlighted there? And then I'm going to show you another screen here. Stop share screen. And this is Blowout Forums. And if you can see that, Blowout shows that the release date is 7/29. Just make sure everybody realizes that's July, not June. Here it is. Yeah, July, not June.
That's
So,
quite a large spread for two businesses selling the same product.
Yeah, so it's a spread of 30 days, and basically a little birdie just said, look, it's still going to be a midsummer release. It depends on how you defined midsummer, and I would encourage you to look at the date on Blowout Forums. So now I'm not saying it's a confirmation that it's going to be delayed, but I was strongly encouraged to look at the date on Blowout as a date for the release and not Dave and Adams. So I still have hope, but that hope is fading rather fast as we get closer to the date, and with it looking like it's going to be more of a later date, such as July, late July. Marvel July is a typo.
Yeah. I jinxed it a few episodes ago when I said July 20 something. You said, why'd you say that?
Don't do that. Don't do that. Spidey fan says, Justin, no trip to Dallas. No, I'm going to be in Shreveport. Jim Lee, the Fan Expo, all at once. Wow, that is a lot. I didn't realize all that was going on. That's actually sounds like a great time. And Gabe's Cave will be at the Fan Expo. So
nice.
Spidey fan, check out Gabe's Cave. Great people.
Deadpool Deeds, I'm with you.
Okay. Yeah. So Gabe says the distributor couldn't even get any metal. If they did, I would definitely be your best customer. I promise. So please don't give
metal's up. It's not even made yet. Like they haven't even put these products together yet, or it just sounds like.
I think it is put together. I don't know. Whatever. I don't know. It sounds like it is, but
well, we don't want them to rush it. We don't want them to deliver us something that's not good. So, however long it takes, that's good. It's like it's like we need them to do it right. So that's fantastic. They're not just pushing this thing on to build up anticipation. That started a year ago already. Like it's
right.
time. Yeah.
Right. So I'm going to show you what our friend Izzy is talking about here. Okay.
Okay.
So we're going to go to non-sports, and I'm not showing. Yeah, I'm not showing that screen. Let me stop this screen. Go to another screen. here, and
Who's Izzy? Is Izzy in our is Izzy with us in the chat?
yes, did the Infinite Collector is
Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you.
Isidore, which I love that name. Izzy,
That's an amazing name. Isidore?
yeah,
That's awesome.
Isidore is
Isidore is an incredible name.
in Lord of the Rings.
I didn't know that, but I'm writing Isidore down because I just really like that name.
Okay, so we're looking for new
Nice
releases
to meet you,
here.
Isidore.
These are boxes that are for sale on Dave and Adams, by the way. Is it
How much do they want for the 94? Real quick.
94? Did I see that?
It was
They
top
want
left, yeah.
$491.
All right.
So this Flair Marvel hobby box, I was buying this for $200 last summer. Oh wait, I might buy that.
The Rittenhouse. I like that box. The box is cool looking.
Continue shopping. We're coming back to that. Not putting the credit card in on the live stream. Okay, so here's Spidey Metal, released June 29th. Why don't they show beginnings? Where's beginnings? Okay, I'm gonna have to send this to myself, so this will take a second. I'm gonna show you all the dates that they have for the releases. So entertain the guests for a second, Manu.
Shall I dance? I can dance. I learned how to dance recently.
Did you really learn how to
I don't know.
dance?
No, I don't. I don't know.
Oh.
I got like 2 moves. I break them out once every 4 years, along with my suits, and that's it. Like a suit comes out, I go to an event, I bust a move, cut a rug, I go home.
Like, what does that mean? Like move, like a Michael Jackson move?
No, I just got like a 2-step. Maybe it's a 3.5 step. Like I just got this thing that I do all around the dance floor. It's just this one thing that I do. Sometimes it's slow, sometimes it's fast. It's always the same. And
does it land well? Like, do people like it?
Oh yeah, no, because I look like a fool, and people always love someone that's a smiling fool. You know, it lands really well.
That explains our channel.
And so it goes over great.
All right, yeah, you did a great job, by the way.
Did you just buy the box?
Who did?
Did you just do that?
No.
Okay,
no. I was trying to get to this page. So, by the way, Dave and Adams, if you ever find something and you want to go back to it, bookmark it and save it, because it's not easy to find it again.
Oh,
I just searched all non-sports, and none of this new stuff was showing up. To riddle me that. I don't understand it, but I saved it as a bookmark, and I emailed it to myself so I could pull it up on the live stream.
Man, I'm curious about this Spider-Verse set.
All right, so this is Spider-Verse, Into the Spider-Verse. Look at that release date, August 24th, 2022.
Okay.
We're going to come back to that and look at it. Marvel Beginnings, release date, June 29th, 2022, the same day as Spider-Man Metal. I don't think that's happening. Allure, release date, July 15th, 2022. Marvel Allure, which is a big MCU set with autos. Okay. And then just so, we go through all of it, Marvel Flair Ultra Avengers, November 30th, 2022. So, I don't see any way that Marvel Beginnings and Spider-Man Metal release on the same day. Just don't see it happening. Maybe Beginnings actually releases, but Spider-Man Metal ends up being in July. That seems like a possibility. I don't know what
When did you buy your first pre-order of Metal?
September of last year.
Wow. You're committed.
Well, it says June 29th of 2022.
And this is Dave and Adams we're on, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Was it on your, it was somewhere. It was either on your YouTube, it was somewhere, but they were talking about, it was a representative of Upper Deck that was saying, oh no, you know
on
what?
Instagram.
It was on Instagram?
He said midsummer-ish.
Yeah, and this was an older snippet. This was like a snippet from something older,
it's
right?
in April. It was in April.
Yeah, that's what it was. Okay, yes, I do remember. I'm just whatever, man. Whenever it happens, I'm going to be excited for it. I was really looking forward it to be, to have them in our hands early July, but it looks like there's a chance we might have them early August, which is, we'll keep ourselves busy in the meantime.
But look at that. What is Google midsummer date? Midsummer is June 24th.
That's tomorrow.
Yeah, no, June 24th. That's 10 days from now.
No, it's exaggerating. Like,
oh,
that's
I got
right
you.
Here.
Sorry, I should have picked up on that.
Nah.
But
I do it so someone corrects me. It's engagement.
But my point is that's what the guy said. But now I literally got the Bill Clinton define is, like,
oh gosh.
You know what I mean? Like, so now
I know what you mean.
Literally they're coming back at me. Define midsummer. Depends on how you define midsummer. I'm like, well, I define it the way I want to see it. The way I want to see it is June 24th with an ish being June 29th, not an ish being all the way into July.
Yeah.
And look, we're excited about the product and we'll be happy when we get it. But what do you do? What do you do? Let's see. We've got some comments here. With all these live action series being announced, like Willow, Something's Killing the Children, The Sandman, etc. With your experience, Manu,
yes.
Do these books historically just spike and then come crashing down?
Yeah, they do. It's the same with it's not for the most part. Yes, they do. And that's the idea of psychology and enthusiasm. And in many markets, there's a saying, buy the rumor, sell the news, right? So in anticipation for something, things are being bought up. Things are being taken off of the market because people are anticipating a heightened value. That's actually what's creating the heightened value. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? And then a lot of people are buying this just so they can sell it at the top. Well, that's why the price goes down. So the anticipation is highest right before the news actually drops. The news drops and it's a scramble to get top dollar for your book. So when all of them come to the market at top dollar don't last that much. There's one person getting the top dollar and then it's down from there. So buy the rumor, sell the news. If you adhere to that principle or that idea, you're going to get it right 99 out of 100 times. Yeah, sure, there's going to be times where it doesn't work out that way, but you got to just pay attention to the nuance, right? How many of a particular book exists? Like that really delicate sort of criteria, those variables that don't apply to everything. But for the most part, buy the rumor, sell the news. If you want a book for your personal collection, wait till whatever event happens, and then it comes down in price, buy it later. Yeah. Many months later, or buy it when the rumor or news is first announced. Do not buy anything leading up to it. Don't get FOMO. Fear of missing out is a saying from other markets that works in every market. So buy the rumor, sell the news, and FOMO. Do buy the rumor and sell the news. Don't do FOMO, fear of missing out. If you're buying something that's running up, you're buying something that's running up. It is what it is. It's running up because people have plans to sell it. When they sell it, the price comes down.
Yeah. I mean, you have more buyers that are buying for the thrill of the chase of buying low, selling high, or speculating. There's people doing it as a business. There are people doing it as a hobby.
And they're not going to hold it forever. They don't love what they're buying. They're buying it for that reason.
They're not buying it as a true collectible in the sense of like, I just got to have it and I'll be buried with it, or my kids can figure out what to do with it. Right. Yeah, exactly. And so, what are some good rumors? I think X-Men probably lives in a good rumor mill right now. There hasn't been true news about X-Men. We got X-Men 97. We know that's in the animated stuff, but I mean in the sense of like, we know what's going to happen with the X-Men storyline as Disney brings them into the MCU. So that might be a good place to live from a rumor standpoint. So we got a question from Leo. I bought 44 boxes. So,
Ash, Marvel Metal. Got you. I was like, what are you talking about? Okay.
Ash says, I got to check something tomorrow. If you know what I mean. I do know what you mean, and I will be checking with you.
Okay, cool.
Artists have a way of knowing things. Artists have a way of knowing things about releases because of their involvement in the releases.
That makes really good sense.
Yep. And I'm just going to assume that's what he's talking about. Spidey, will you hunt blasters of metal at Target? And the answer is absolutely yes. Even if I don't find anything, I'm going to go out and I'm going to hunt, and I'm going to make hunt videos.
That sounds so fun, man. Like
Oh,
a
I
whole,
can't
just
wait.
a morning of it, an afternoon of it. You're in the car. Do you drink? Are you a Starbucks stopper, get a latte sort of
I
guy, or
will
what?
I will get a Starbucks, but it's not my number one choice. I almost
Gotcha.
would rather have a cup of coffee from Chick-fil-A than I
Okay.
would a Starbucks. Starbucks is
I
kind
just,
of an
yeah.
afternoon coffee for me.
I just wanted to know how to imagine you as you're going through the aisles of a Target. Like, do you have a cup in hand?
Oh, no. So when I'm at Target, it's Starbucks on the way out because I
Oh,
never
gotcha.
know how much I'm grabbing while I'm in there. And I don't want to be manhandling the Starbucks at the same time. Now, if I do buy a Starbucks
Whoa.
on the way
Yeah.
in,
Then you got a cart. You're taking a shopping cart for the
no,
rest of the
that means
ride.
I'm buying my boy David a frappe latte, large, or no, excuse me. I'm so sorry. Venti. I don't want to be
A
called
venti,
out.
yes. A
And I'm
venti,
giving
a
it to
tall,
him.
and a yeah.
Yeah, because he hooks me up. He's the employee. So
When you first were talking about David, I didn't know if David was like a made up character, like my
yeah,
guy David. No.
it's kind of a made up character.
Oh, it is. Oh,
Yeah, but
okay.
but I do buy a Target employee a
I
drink,
love it.
and
Perfect. Perfect.
and it's not. I don't have to be getting anything. Here you go. Here you go. Just thinking about you. And inevitably, what are you looking for today, Justin? Well, I heard this thing was happening.
Right.
Well,
Right.
I'll text you if I see it. Okay, thanks, man.
Thanks. Here's a gift card too. Just had it
Yeah,
in my back pocket
yeah, yep.
with my phone
So,
number written on the back. Yeah,
oh no, we have each other's phone number. That's
I
for sure.
bet.
Yeah, you could be correct, Justin. As they might have been beginnings, more prepared. I don't know, man. I hope that's correct. But I didn't want to miss what Gabe said. X-Men is the hottest comics to buy right now. I didn't realize that, but it would make sense if they're in the rumor.
They are. They are. They are. But well, yes, they are. But prices have come down on a lot of things. Even
Mhm.
even on the big keys, prices are down. Like a 70,000 book can be had now for a $50,000 sort of thing, and a $15,000 book can be had for $11,000. Like we're seeing this a lot. There's a book
Mhm.
I'm hunting right now. It had maybe 100 sales in the last, not 100, let's say 25 sales in the last year at the $5,000 range, and it most recently had 2 sales at 4,100. I'm waiting for 35. And at 3,500, I'm going to buy this particular book. And if it goes lower than that, that's fine. But historically, in the last 3 years, the lowest sale has been 3,500. So I'm kind of thinking that's going to be a floor for it. And so that's where I'm going
Gotcha.
to pick it up. And if it goes down lower, it's okay. You can't time the bottom, but 3,500 is definitely better than the last 25 sales of 5,000. So my opportunity
Mhm.
has shown up for that. And if you're hunting smaller X-Men books, not huge ones, like I'm a modern day newsstand hunter. There's a lot of X-Men covers, a lot of Wolverine books that I just
Mhm.
want in a 9.8 newsstand. And during the height of the market last year, which was combined with anticipation for the animated series, and there's this thing, right? X-Men hasn't been announced in the MCU, but obviously it's coming.
Yeah.
Obviously it's coming. So that sort of buildup has already started for the past year and a half. And that combined, even longer, that combined with the market peak of last year, there were a bunch of books that were selling for $500, $600, $700. You can get them all for 180 to 250 right now. So there's
Wow.
opportunity in that as well. They're still selling. They're still very liquid, but they're just much less expensive. And another part of that is because everyone anticipating the X-Men and Wolverine market going up, there were a lot of things from the 90s that got graded. And those are coming back with fresh slabs from CGC, and those are going directly to eBay or directly to a marketplace, because it's the same as we were talking about. Those are people that were anticipating other people wanting to buy in. They have no desire to hold those books. They're getting pre-screen after pre-screen in from
Mhm.
CGC, and they're just selling them. So the $500-$600 price points are not lasting on those, but they might return in a year or two. So there's actually great opportunity. Liquid market for X-Men books, but I have seen prices come down on a lot of cool things.
So Gabe is asking, what is it? I may have it. Are there what books are he's asking you, and what
Oh,
Wolverine book newsstand he may have it, and if you don't want to put it out publicly, you can shoot him a
the
DM on
book that I'm
Instagram.
looking for.
Mm-hmm.
I'll shoot you a DM. Yeah, I intentionally did not mention that because
Yeah.
it's not there's not yeah, I'll shoot you a DM on that. I'll leave myself a reminder here. Thank you.
Yep. Do that. So we have a cool question from where to go. Here it is. Swish Rips. What is your favorite comic book cover based on the subject matter, art, etc.? Value not being a factor.
Oh, wait, me? What is
Yeah.
my favorite comic book cover based on a subject matter, art, etc.? I have such a tough question for me to
Mm-hmm.
answer. Amazing Spider-Man 316 is one of my favorite covers. But
Carnage. I mean,
no,
sorry, Venom. First,
Venom. Yeah, first full cover of Venom.
I heard
316 has Venom.
361 in my brain, by the way, when you
Sorry,
said
no,
that.
and we were talking of. Oh, we actually weren't. I was thinking of that earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So I really love that cover, and it is because it's a really awesome McFarlane cover. Like, it's
I
just
don't
a
like what he's
sick
doing
one.
to Spidey, but it is a great
I
cover.
know, I know, I know, but they were just getting to know each other. They had to figure
Yeah.
out what their dynamic was. And
Uh-huh.
but then I also love that cover for just emotional reasons too. Like, I have a huge sentimental tie-in with that book. I don't even remember realizing that book existed when I was younger, but
Mm-hmm.
in the short box that I pulled out about 2 years ago, in it was this beautiful copy of a 316 newsstand. And how was it a newsstand? I was 9 or 10 or 11 when I put that
Oh
in there.
man, the stars were aligning early.
I'm telling you, I it was there was something happening. I mean, I have visual indicators of this book and reminders of this book all over just in my life, even for the 2 decades that I was out of comic books. And the
Mm-hmm.
moment I got back into collecting, like so many people did, during the pandemic, the moment I got back in that first short box that I pulled out from my mother's house, I remember going through each book so slowly because I was like, eventually I'm going to run out of books in this box. And so I
Mm-hmm.
would pull one out and I'd be like, oh my gosh, and I'm pulling out crazy things that I didn't even realize I had. And being the sort of person I was, they're all in, probably the
Right.
same shape as when I picked them up. If they were not in mint condition, it's because they weren't mint condition when they entered my collection.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember in the middle of that box, I lost it when I pulled the book out, and behind it, I knew it was a 316, and I didn't even remember I had a 316,
Mm-hmm.
because this box was literally put away 20 years ago, 20 something years ago. And it's a 316. And I had just started doing my research on comic books in the modern age, and I started to find out about, this thing that's happening with the newsstands, how they've appreciated because of so many factors. And as I'm just going, I pull the book out, I see the 316, I turn away, I'm like, I can't wait for 5 minutes from now when I revisit that. And as I slowly pull that one out, I realize it's a newsstand, and my whole life changed. I was like, this is it. I'm in, I'm here, I'm starting an Instagram page. This is it. I've found what I love again, and I'm not leaving it this time. And it was coming to
Mm-hmm.
me at a point in my life. The pandemic had obviously changed a lot for a lot of people, but I was in a transition for a year prior. Even a year before anyone had ever heard about a pandemic or a mask or anything, I was already going into a change. I was already transforming as a person, leaving behind what I was doing professionally, cutting ties with a lot of individuals and energies in my life. And so the pandemic allowed me to focus in on what I wanted, like so many other people. It's a story a lot of people share. And that short box and that 316 in the middle literally changed everything, because the amount of books that I have graded since then, the amount of special books that have come and gone and are still with me in such a short span of time, it's really incredible. And nothing drives that other than passion and love. There's
Yeah.
no other way to do something with such conviction, morning, noon, and night. Dream about it, wake up thinking about it. You forget to
Mm-hmm.
eat. You're making deals all day. You're building relationships. I'm on YouTube now.
Making
Look at
YouTube,
this.
baby.
And it's like, this all comes because this is true, pure passion, love. That's the
Mm-hmm.
only way you can endure. That's the only way you can deal with the nonsense that comes with it. Sometimes you deal with moody people. Sometimes you deal with companies that don't fall in line as they should. CGC making you send books back and forth all day long. But it doesn't matter, because I would rather do this than anything else. And I give a lot of credit to that 316. Long-winded answer, but that's one of the reasons why it's my favorite cover.
I love it. That was really special. That is awesome.
Yeah.
And I can't tell a story that eloquent.
Oh, yes, you can. I appreciate you so much.
And look, no, I don't want to, because that was perfect. That's without that 316 being pulled out in the way it did, then you and I may not happen, right?
Exactly.
And so
Exactly. And I'm
it means a
forever
lot to me.
grateful of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be quick. I'll be really, really quick, just for the sake of some other questions we want to get to here. But As a young person, it was probably X-Men 1 Volume 2 with the various covers from Jim Lee, but particularly the Magneto. That just hit me hard. But a lot of those Jim Lee covers, and then Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man in the Webs.
On. Yes.
That that book, that art again, just was really present with me in my childhood, and I can pick that up and it takes me back to a place. That makes sense. Then and that's all I'll go through right now. But I will say AMS 316 was probably the third comic book I bought graded when I got back into collecting comic books. Like, I had to have it. I did not have it as a kid. Would have loved to. So we have a question about what price did I pay for Spider-Man metal boxes?
I know the answer.
Yeah, go ahead.
You're averaging $280 a box.
Yeah, I am, because they started out at $234, and I bought the bulk of what I had before they got over $300 a box. I have bought some since then. I've only bought a couple of boxes at the $600 price. So
excellent. Man.
Yep, very fortunate.
And your X-Men 1, the Magneto cover. You have it in a 9.8, I presume. Hey, Andrew, what's up?
I not only have it in a 9.8, I have a Jim Lee Wolverine sketch on it, and
beautiful.
Signed by Jim Lee.
And I know, no one needs to collect newsstands. It's not like I'm saying it has to be a newsstand, but the newsstand for that, it's attainable now. Like, I bought one for $180. I mean, it's always been attainable. It's not like that turned into, but that book was selling $500-600.
It was, and I didn't think about that book selling cheaply now, so I'm gonna have to look that up. Yes,
it'd be nice to add it to the collection. It's super cool, man. I just recently got it. Yeah,
you just made me think of something that's happening, and I'm gonna put it out there because it's happening. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, as you know, that I can say this. I become friends with the creators of X-Men the animated series.
Yeah,
it's very, very dear to me, and in the interview that I did with them about the animated series, they mentioned that when they were creating the cartoons, they didn't know the comic books. They were not hired because of their fandom in comics. They were hired because they had created great cartoons like Chip and Dale, Rescue Rangers, things like that. And so, as a resource, they didn't have Wikipedia, and it would be a big daunting thing to read comic books. So they bought Marvel cards, and they used X-Men, the Uncanny X-Men series with Jim Lee as their first resource on the power sets and the backgrounds of these characters. Okay, so they use Marvel cards to create the episodes. Well, guess what they still own? They still own the original Marvel cards that they used to create the shows.
How cool.
It gets better. They have agreed to take a card of each character in the X-Men and Magneto and sign them and mail them to me.
No way.
Yes. Dude, so I'm going to have the Marvel cards that they used to create the animated series signed by the creators. Yeah.
Justin, that's huge. The inspirations the creators use signed being delivered to you. That's huge, man. Congratulations.
Yeah. One of them will be this card, not this particular card, but like this Wolverine.
Dude, that's special, man.
When they read about Wolverine possessing the untamed savagery of a jungle beast combined with the battle-tested skills of an international secret agent. The mutant known as Wolverine is one of the most dangerous men alive. His power to heal virtually any wound in minutes, combined with his superhumanly keen animal senses and his razor-sharp adamantium claws and skeleton, make him a nearly perfect fighting machine. Truly, he is one of the fiercest foes of evil on the earth. And they use that to help understand the character of Wolverine for the show.
How special.
Isn't that really cool?
So cool. I'm really glad you decided to share that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I will make a video about it and all that kind of stuff because I'm going to have to, but that's that means a lot to me, and that they would be willing to do that.
Yeah, Andrew agrees with you. He says that's super cool. One of the best cartoons from our childhood, also ever.
Yeah. Oh, somebody said, "Do I hear a giveaway?"
Yeah, I love podcasts.
No, no. I don't
He'll
know
give
how.
away the ones he already has.
I don't know how I would do a giveaway because they're doing the X team. Like to give one away would be not to have the complete team. I don't know.
Right. You know,
That'd be,
I didn't focus in on it too much,
yeah.
but on one of my friend's pages on Instagram, Sal,
hmm
in his story, there was something about the re-release of something X-Men, something animated, something card, and I couldn't quite figure out exactly what it was. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Are you saying card? Do you say
Give
card?
me, yeah, a card. Give me one moment.
hmm
I'm gonna, I don't
And
know.
I'm going to answer this question
Yes,
while they're
yes,
doing
yes.
that. Okay. So I love podcasts. I think the answer is yes. I actually think that what I might can do, and I can't commit to too much because I have so much on my plate, but I think that they would be willing to do something like, let's say CGC decides to grade cards. Like if that happens, maybe I can connect them with CGC to do this whole thing where they can sign the card, authenticate it, and grade it. That's what I'm thinking down the road, and that it needs to be a part of something like that, where maybe you could own a CGC Marvel graded slab with a yellow label authenticating the signature of the card and the fact that it was a part of the original creation of X-Men the animated series, because that apparently is well documented. Like there's books that are written that point to those cards as being used for that creation of that series. My interview with them was not the first place that was ever mentioned. It's been documented.
Okay, I'm gonna. Can I?
Yeah, please.
This is confusing to me. So this is going to start to make sense as I read it because there's a few things being said that don't make any sense to me. So the title says Marvel to release the Uncanny X-Men cards, the complete series this summer. Then it says the book is scheduled to be released August 16th.
Yeah. So Jim Lee has created a book about that card set. And
that's interesting.
Yes, and if you order the book, you're going to get some cards. I believe is how that works.
So it's a book, not a okay. There you go.
I've ordered mine just because.
Congrats.
Yeah, I mean you got
of course.
to. It's Jim Lee.
Yeah. Fantastic. Okay, that gives me clarity. I knew I saw something. Now I know what it was. Okay.
No, it's very good. What is this? Better have. Oh, he says better have better quality than X-Men metal. That's kind of the whole point. I believe the reason we have the delay that we have now, the effort that they're putting in is because of improving the quality, and not only the quality but the design. That's been part of it too. So we got a question here. Would you grade the Age of Apocalypse arc, or which arc would you try to grade? And I think by saying Age of Apocalypse, I think he means like the early X-Men, early 90s is what I'm trying to say, or early to mid 90s runs of arcs. Which would you grade? They printed a lot of those. Like
yeah, but that's part of the reason to grade them essentially, right? Because the 9.8 is the only way to turn it into an investment grade book, something saleable for the higher price. And Andrew can give some great insight to a question like that as well. But yeah, my answer is yeah, man. Like
there is a couple of Onslaught books that in a 9.8 I wouldn't mind owning just because that was
the first Onslaught is dope.
Yeah.
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 Wait, wasn't that the cover with like Jean Grey on it? Yeah.
With Jean Grey in his hand.
Yeah, that's a sick book to 9.8. 9.8 a newsstand of those. That's a dope book.
Is there a newsstand of that one?
I think so. I just said that, but I'm pretty sure there is.
Yeah, I don't know the answer. That's why I'm asking. I remember as a kid getting the book where Juggernaut's like knocked out, he's like crushed into the ground. I think it's Jubilee and maybe Beast or Jubilee and Gambit, looking at Juggernaut, like who knocked out the Juggernaut, and it's Onslaught, right? So Deadpool D says, with all the new product coming out this summer, what are you focusing on grabbing? In Marvel cards, I have, pretty strong hyper focus on Spider-Man metal, but truth be known, I'm going to be grabbing everything that releases. So I'll be getting beginnings. If they actually release Into the Spider-Verse, which you saw earlier, then yeah, I'm going to get that as well.
Yes, there is a newsstand. X-Men 53 First Onslaught. There is a newsstand. There's a bunch available. I don't know what condition there are. I don't see a 9.8 on eBay at the moment.
Oh, interesting. So Andrew says, since we're talking about some of our favorite comic book covers, what is a book from each of your collections that would be the last to leave you if you had to purge all but one? Value
My Wizard
or...
One, which is not even a comic book. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm glad that you know your answer so quickly.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
that's actually a struggle for me because right now the
I'm going to
book that
bring it
comes
out
to
and I'm going to talk
mind,
about why too. Yes, please.
yeah, the book that comes to mind for me actually would be my 9.8 Adam Legend of Blue Marvel. Because I think that, that book's about $2,300, $1,800 to grab right now. I technically I have ownership in the Hulk 181 9.0 first full appearance of Wolverine signed by Stan Lee, but it's really my brother's book. I just happen to have ownership of it at the moment, so I'm not going to count that one. I did not have any rare books as a kid. I didn't have Spawn 1 was like the most valuable book that I owned as a kid. Everything I had was high print 90s books. And the ones I have of those are not graded well. I did not take care of my books. I drew on top of them and everything as a kid, traced the characters, all the stuff you shouldn't do. All the stuff Manu didn't do to his books, I did.
Andrew says he actually has the First Onslaught in a newsstand as well. So I just wanted to point out he mentioned that. And he's also talking about X-Men 322. Is that his answer to a book he won't purge, or what is that an answer to? No, that's not a book he wouldn't purge. X-Men 322.
He's got to be talking about a first appearance.
Oh, it's a Juggernaut.
Yeah, the one where Juggernaut gets knocked out.
Yeah, yes.
Juggernaut was tossed from Canada by Onslaught, which it never happened before to him believe. Well, it happened on X-Men the animated series.
Andrew says, so I won't be owning that wizard anytime soon. Andrew, my friend, there's something I haven't told anyone. I'm going to say something here, and I'm going to say this because it's true, but like no one's going to believe me that it's true, but whatever. It's true. The day that I posted this on my Instagram, it was January. It was late January. I got an offer that day for $7,500.
Wow.
I very easily said no to that. And before I go into why I said no to that, I want to I've shown this so many times here. I'm going to show it again.
We love it. We love it.
I have other Wizard 1 slabbed as well. This one is signed by Stan Lee in gold and Todd McFarlane in silver, and it is a 9.8.
But they're great signatures on top of that. It's not that you just signed it.
Right.
Also,
got so lucky. Look at they're bold, they're nice, they're
Stan
gold
didn't
and
get
silver.
wild up or down with his or spaced out. Sometimes he gets this weird spacing.
Yeah.
But that's nice and tight. And then you get the full Todd.
And the full Todd. Now, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit, and then I'm going to go into what I was first started to talk about this for. But this is really cool, and I really want to talk about this. Manu is about to show us his 9.8 Stanley Wizard 1. I love podcast. It's like it's all Manu shows. That t-shirt and this book.
It's
you know what? Okay, hold on. Wait. Just you know what? Just for that,
Andrew
here's another slabbed Wizard 1. Here's another slabbed Wizard 1.
Okay. Mr. Stacking Wizards over here.
Yeah, but those are projects. Those have other stuff going on with them. But I do want to talk about this really quickly. I never told the story here, right? There are 2 blue label 9.8s on the census, 9.8 of the Wizard 1, and there are 4 yellow label signed signature series. 2 of the yellow label ones, I know the person. Andrew's the one that introduced me to the person or made me aware of the person, and then that person and I established our relationship based on other things as well. He himself sent the 2 to get signed, his cleanest copies. He's a comic book store owner, and he pulled out a few of his cleanest copies, and he sent 2 of them to a McFarlane signing, and they're both 9.8s, and they're both signed by McFarlane. He sold one to a friend. He kept one. He's not parting with it, but I know that those 2 of the 4 on the census are signed by Todd only. Then there's the one that I have here, which is signed by Todd and Stan. And that leaves the question of the fourth one. There's a fourth one on the census that's a 9.8. Is it signed by Stan? Like, I needed to know, is this the only copy signed by Stan? And no one could answer that question because no one seemed to know where that fourth copy is. And it's not like there's no way to find out. If I don't have the certificate number, I can't look it up. And if I don't have a picture of the book, I don't know anything about it.
I think I would know who the owner would be. Is it not Todd? Did Todd not get his own book and keep it? Does he not like it?
I don't know. I mean,
wouldn't that be crazy?
Sure, that would be crazy. That would actually be insane. If he owns a 9.8 in it, that'd be kind of cool. He actually had like an episode or a thing that he did on Comic Tom where he took out some of his books, and it was interesting to see what he had. And so I called CGC, and there was a really great representative on the phone with me. His name might have been Justin, actually. If I'm wrong, it was Jason, but I think it was Justin. I think it was Justin. And I explained to him how important it was for me to figure this out. And I said, I know I don't have the cert number. I know you can't tell me anything about the book. He said, yeah, man, I can't tell you anything about, I can't give you the cert number. I can't tell you. I said, dude, there's only 4 of them there. I own one of them. I know what's on it. I know what's on the other 2. There's just one. There's nothing you can do to help me out here. He said, this is important to you. I said, yeah. He said, I'll be back. And obviously he could look at everything there without telling me anything. And he took the time to go through every single Wizard 1 graded on the census with me. And there was not another one signed by, he first of all confirmed, the first thing he did was put the biggest smile on my face. He said, my friend, he didn't say my friend, that's what I said, but he said, my friend, there is no 9.8 signed by Stan other than yours. You have the only one. At that moment, I knew I'm never going to sell a book. And so I was just elated, right? And so then I go on to, he just, now he's part of it. Now he's loving the excitement. He's delivered this great news. He feels like, and he said, well, let's just go through the rest of them. There was no 9.6 signed by Stan. There was no 9.4 signed by Stan. There was a 9.2 signed by Stan. 9.2, that's got some imperfections. I don't think it's going to press to a 9.8. I think I'm solid, right? And then we go down, and then there were some in the 8s. And then we go into the SDCC. And now I'm forgetting, because the San Diego Comic-Con one, they actually separate on the census, even though there are 3 versions. There's your direct, there's your newsstand, there's your SDCC, but that one has separate census. And from what I think Justin told me, Justin and CGC, I think he said that none of the SDCCs were signed by Stan. I don't remember, or maybe it was a lower grade, like an 8.5 or something. Like there was a factor that I wanted to eliminate, a factor of fear that I wanted to eliminate, being like, is there ever going to be another one? Or is there possibility for one to be pressed and graded higher? Like, was there a 9.6 signed? And, you might resubmit it to CGC and have CCS, try to make it a better grade. But I eliminated all of those concerns, right? And I had already posted the book, I think. I did. I had already gotten a $7,500 offer that I very easily declined. Like no. And then it was later that day or the next day that I confirmed, because of our friend at CGC, that let me know that there is no other 9.8 signed by Stan. It doesn't seem like anything can be, massaged into the 9.8 that's already been slabbed. That doesn't mean that there aren't some brilliantly clean versions floating around, but this is a Witness Signature Series book. Rest in peace. That opportunity is not going to happen again. And so it's very special to me. And the part that I wasn't going to say, I don't know, is this in poor taste? Like, it's kind of in poor taste to talk about money or something, but I didn't sell it. It's still with me. But I guess this is going to show the significance of what it would take for me to part with this. Somebody that has done good amount of business with me offered me $25,000 for the book. 25 grand. And
that's a lot of money, Manu.
It is a lot of money. And the truth of it is, it was many, many months ago that he first brought it up, kind of like in conversation. He was like, hey, I've got something happening, and come this time, there's some books that I'm looking to pick up, and there's only one book that I essentially can't have. And we laugh about it all the time. And he said, I'm gonna try to buy that book from you. And I said, well, you can try. And this gentleman, he does well, and he made me that offer.
Wow.
And all I could do with that offer is just feel really good about it.
Yeah.
Just feel really good about it, because, dude, that regret that I would have selling that book, this book, it's fortunate that I'm in a position in my life where that's a significant amount of money for sure. That's
Mhm.
months and months and months of living. But the fortunate thing is it's not necessary for me to bring that money in at the moment.
Mhm. And it didn't get you something
No,
maybe the similar lower cost that you would value more or less.
no, it wouldn't get me anything. It would go into the bank and it would either depreciate with the value of the
Oh,
dollar, or
yeah.
it would get invested into something else that might still have 3 or 4 more legs down with every
Yeah.
other market out there, you know?
Right.
I could go buy Bitcoin right now for 23,000, maybe it's at 21 or 22.
21
That
last I
might go
saw
to 10.
today.
Right. That might go to 10. You know, pre-pandemic prices on Bitcoin are between $6,000 and $9,000. Actually, they're between $3,000 and $7,000. You know,
Yeah.
so it can revisit that. Everything's gone back to pre-pandemic prices. Anything that was inflated due to enthusiasm and money printing, that could happen. Where am I going to put the 25 grand? I don't know. I think the 25 grand is better in this book that someone's given me a solid 25 grand offer on. Now, would
Yeah.
anyone actually value this book at 25 grand other than this one person that wants it? Who knows? Maybe not. We're never going to find out because I'm not selling it.
Mhm.
But I just think that's really cool to know.
That is
And
really
I
cool,
trust the
man.
guy. That's my guy. The guy's bought big books for me. Like,
Yeah,
he's good
money was
for it,
real.
but
Yeah.
yeah, but this is more real. This is where am I going to replace this?
Not
And
for what
Andrew
that
knows.
means to you. Yeah.
Yeah, and the only other person that I feel that it means that much to, well, there's probably more. There's obviously
Mhm.
the gentleman that offered me the money, but it's Andrew. Andrew and I have a very interesting Banfi here, RS Cali RS on Instagram. He and I haven't shared this story, and one day I will. It's not going to be tonight because I've already run my mouth too much. He and I are very closely intertwined with
Mm.
my acquisition of that book. Like, it's crazy how it went down.
Mhm.
It's a great story to tell, and I've told it, and everyone's like, "Dude, you got to record that story. It's a good story."
We'll give you a
and,
chance.
and yeah, we'll do that. But Andrew was a part of that. The night that book became mine,
Mhm.
Andrew and I were both going for it, and we didn't know.
Oh.
And I'll tell a bit of the story right now. As soon as the book became unavailable, Andrew didn't know who got it, but when it became unavailable, I got a screenshot, and the screenshot was from Andrew, and I told Andrew, "Brother, I just bought that," and we were battling for it, and we didn't know.
Didn't know.
Yeah,
Oh.
and then
I'm kind of
Andrew and
glad
I,
y'all didn't know. Because
yeah,
it's
yeah,
hard to go into it and say who gets to go after it, you know.
that was a crazy night,
We had
man.
that happen in Marvel cards where it's like, I mean, there's a card right now on eBay that I'm bidding on. And part of me wants to go to my community and go, hey, everybody, if anybody else is bidding on this, do you mind backing off? But that's not fair to them, right? They want the card too, possibly.
Yeah,
But it's like, well, but I could save me some money. Like it's a difficult thing.
yeah, yeah. It's a difficult thing, and let me
Mhm.
tell you guys, man. Andrew's passion for this magazine, it is so. Andrew's passion. Andrew and I share a lot of similar passions. We're
Mhm.
different people. We are definitely uniquely different people. Because he loves a lot of things that I don't know anything about, but his passion for comics and his passion for a lot of the things that I am, it's so deep, it's so pure. He has a 9.6. Andrew, please correct me if I'm wrong, but he has a 9.6 Wizard One SDCC signed by Todd.
Which is
And
special.
that's a special book.
Mhm.
That is a special book. And you know, if it was going to be anybody that got that book, it was going to be he or I. And it's
Mhm.
really good that we didn't know, because boy, that would have been awkward.
That would have been awkward for sure.
Oh my gosh, that would have been so, because like, at what point do you say, "No, I love you, you're my friend, but this is the Wizard One"? Like, I didn't know you when I was 9, Andrew. I didn't know you when I was 10.
Right, right.
You know,
That's
it would get
awesome.
real weird. But I love the fact that Andrew and I share this story. And later that night, he and I, we communicated because something went really wrong with the deal. Really wrong with the deal. I had the order canceled and my money refunded.
Mhm.
And then it worked out some way, somehow, and I ended up still getting the book. The guy made good on his promise. He just got scared because he didn't realize how PayPal worked, uh, or
Oh,
or or how
yeah.
eBay's payment system
Ooh,
worked.
man, you had to.
But
Yeah, no, the book is in good
thank
hands.
you, Andrew.
It
Thank
is.
you. Thank you very much. Thank
Well,
you.
Manu, I got to tell you something that's going to happen on the channel here pretty soon that has never been on the channel.
What's that?
ever. I did my very first product review.
Oh, wait, yeah. What's the product? This is a one touch.
X
What is that?
Pro magnetic card holders.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
the owner of this company reached out and said, "Hey, look, I've been watching your channel. You seem like the kind of person that I want to be connected to.
Cool.
Uh, are you interested in doing a product review?" And I ghosted the guy because it just made me nervous.
Sure.
It hasn't been something I wanted to do on the channel, and I was busy too. We were traveling. This is actually when we were at the Dallas Card Show, and so when I got settled back in, I went back into the DMs and I reached out to him, and long story short, did a video call and found out that it was a really chill guy from Canada. And he's like, "Yeah, I've got these magnetic holders. I sell them. And, I just want to see if you'll do an honest review, like nothing around it. Be transparent, just review them and let me know what you charge." I was like, "I don't charge anything. Like, this is not that kind of channel." And I said, "Well, look, why don't you do this? If you'll just send them to me for free, I'll just review them, no other financial obligations or anything like that. And then, we'll go from there." And so I've had them now for a couple of weeks, and tonight I sat down and opened them up and did a review. So that'll be hitting the channel soon. That's new for me. So
I'm looking forward to that.
see how it goes. I've done like reviews of Marvel cards, but I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm just going to open it up and put cards in them and let's see what happens.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing how well how they are.
Yeah.
I don't
Yep.
have any of the magnetic one touch things. Like I think they're so cool. Like if you does that mean like the people that have a bunch of the one, they're called one touch, right?
Yeah. One touch. Mhm.
The people that have a bunch of those, does that mean they've moved away from like penny sleeves and top loaders? Because you don't put a penny sleeve in there, you just put the card in there.
It depends. And I talk about that in the review.
Okay, cool. I look forward to finding out all about it. I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Yeah. So it's good. I talk about what's my favorite mags and one touches in there too. So it'd be good.
And just for our friends watching, anytime I talk about something like what I just talked about, it feels a little weird, but like I'm glad that I did it. I'm glad that I said it. It's a little like regrettable to talk about like money, but yeah, man, I'm not selling that book.
You're just
I
being
love that
real.
book.
Yeah.
I'm just so happy, and it feels so good to get the offers. Like I'm not gonna lie, like that feels so
Yeah.
good, But it's real when you don't take it. You're just like, what?
Yeah.
There's one thing I wouldn't sell. That's the one. What else do you want to make me a big offer on? Bring it.
Mhm. So yeah, and
can't do
look,
that one.
I appreciate you doing that. I don't talk about money much on our channel, our channel. Wow, I just did us.
Oh,
that was cute. Yeah,
I love it.
that was a hug through the camera.
And we're including everybody here as well.
Everyone isn't ours. Yeah, the Spidey Hits channel. And I've done that just in really in a couple of ways to kind of guard what the channel is and what it becomes, and then in another way not to create too much FOMO out there,
Yeah.
and people get hurt unintentionally. But there's been a lot of big money things that have happened around Marvel cards, and one day the channel will be at a place where I think it'd be safer to share that stuff, and I will.
Yeah, once it organically feels
Mhm.
right, great. But there's just this odd place where it's just like it's just still in that sort of place. But I think eventually it gets out of there.
Yeah, well, the
It's
channel's
new.
yeah, well, the channel's still developing its identity, and when that's really anchored in and strong, then I'll tell the story. I don't want the money to begin to define the channel, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
But
and Deadpool Deeds, I agree with you completely.
mhm.
It does help us figure out where the market is and stuff like that. And the other thing about that is when I sell a book, I've talked about this a bit. When I sell a book privately, no one knows how much I sold it for except the person that bought it. And then I have to tell people, no, guys, I just sold one for X. I just sold one for X, but it doesn't get recorded. And I know there's a legitimacy thing there, but like it's legitimate, but what am I supposed to do? Start posting the payments? Like what am I like?
Well,
There's nothing I can do.
the problem for me is there are other Marvel card channels, but in a sense, there hasn't been like dominant Marvel card channels. I'm not saying I'm dominant, but my point is if I talk about numbers, there are people that immediately would say, "Oh, he's pumping because he owns cards, and he has a voice, and so he's telling everybody what these have sold for, so that he can make, like, there's not a huge amount of check and balance naturally in the hobby from a
That's the
content
thing, yeah.
creating standpoint. And so
Yeah.
since there's not a lot of voices, and I want there to be, please, people, make Marvel card content. I would love to see that.
Yeah.
But right now, because there isn't a bunch of that, my desire is to focus on what's enjoyable and exciting about the hobby, the cards, and the community, and then let people make their own purchasing decisions. And yeah, and as the hobby matures, as the channel really has its identity anchored, then one day I'll share some of those details.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, man.
Mhm.
And
It's a big
that
vision.
makes perfect
I have a big vision for Marvel cards and for us.
And you're just at the beginning of that vision.
Yep.
It's gonna be good, man. It's
Oh,
gonna be really good.
Sin City, I really appreciate you. I appreciate you having some understanding there, and we're blessed to have you in the hobby as well.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Is this our longest stream ever?
I just actually look, we're at 2:34, and it literally feels like maybe 40 minutes. So
Yeah.
because Taj was just on it, dude. Like, there was so much well articulated information being delivered. Like, that was so good. And so time flew. I
appreciate you getting them on. I learned a lot. I know everybody else did. And yeah, this has been really good. And another Tuesday has come and gone.
Yeah, this is 9, huh? So our next one is 10?
10. Wow.
That's cool.
10
really
weeks.
Cool. That's really cool. Swish Rip says ASM Skating on Thin Ice Once is his favorite cover. Dude, such a cool book. Such a cool cover. It's the anti-drug, it's an anti-drug issue. And it's like, it has like skating things, like it's a Canadian tie-in, and Andrew's in here, so he loves it too, I'm sure. Hey, Forest Moon, what's up? I saw you earlier. I forgot to say hello. Thank you for being with us, my friend. So that's a really cool cover.
Andrew comments amazingly. Great cover. One of my faves too, Skating on Thin Ice. Find a French Canadian 9/8. I dare you.
What's a French Canadian? I have a Canadian 9/8. What's a French Canadian? It's written in French?
What did you say? What's a French Canadian?
No, what's a French Canadian 9/8? Like, what because I have
it's probably a price variant, right?
Andrew, please clarify. Is that is that actually written in French? Wow.
So what do you have? Oh, you have a Canadian price variant.
Yeah, I have a Canadian price variant of this book.
But you're saying French Canadian.
I want to know what that is. I'm gonna grab mine.
Grab yours. He said they made a small portion for the Quebec market only.
Very cool.
And yes,
Andrew, do you have
French.
one? Wow. Okay, then obviously mine is not that one then.
And yes, Force Moon. Totally good to see you in the chats. All right, Sin City. Take care, bud.
No, I gotta go through too many boxes to find it. Next time I wouldn't know.
So it's kind of weird. So if something's written in another language, does it carry the same weight from a value standpoint?
Well, let's talk about this. We can only speculate at this point, right? Okay.
Yeah, we really need to save that topic because that's a really good question.
Let's just say this before we jump into it.
Yeah.
Oh, he says I have a couple, but no 9/8. You'll get your 9/8. I know you will. This is what I think, and this is probably what everybody thinks at the moment, because there's no shortage of discussion about this. Foreign books are about to explode, and it's not like I've been running around gathering them, specking on them or anything, because
not about to dump a bunch of Italian variants on me.
No, but I wish I did. I wish I had the ASM 300 Italian, the black cover that says Venom. Like, that thing is so cool. There's so many chances for me to buy high grade of that, and I've just, I wasn't passionate about it. I always loved it. Like, that's a cool cover. But let me get the one that everyone's buying and trading. The one that has a liquid market. Let me spend my time there. So that's what I was doing. But I think that's going to soon be very regrettable, not just from a money standpoint, because there are people that from a passion perspective have been collecting foreign books, and they're about to appreciate more than they even thought they would.
Let's remind the community how this happens. Everybody wants everything because everybody's after it. And then people realize, I want that thing that no one wanted for a long time. And that's just the way it works. Look at Marvel Cards is a great example of that.
Great example.
Sad dormant.
Great example. boom, you have your core passionate collectors that were
Mm.
collecting when no one else cared.
Yep.
And they were loving it, and they were not hoarding. They weren't hoarding. They were bringing into their home where they loved them and appreciated the fact that they were buying them near them. Well, now everybody's going to want them. CGC, it just did something a few weeks ago where they're like, we're going to introduce different sorts of grading for foreign books, different classifications, some stuff like that, right? But that's just a media push now. Now there's another entity, a large entity that's making mention of foreign books and international books. And that's just going to create attention, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people are going to
Yep.
start considering and thinking about it.
Eventually,
But
Comic Com's going to have it on the top 10.
oh, it's already happening. You can see the prices going. You could see the books moving. I've in just the last month, I've seen multiple Instagram pages pop up dedicated to nothing but foreign books, and they just got started, and they're hitting the ground running, and they're gaining traction quick. Because when they put up a page, an Instagram page, and they load it up with a couple dozen foreign titles, like I said, the buzz has started, the headlines have started, the big companies are talking about it now. Those pages are getting followers quick. Those books are about to explode. And when you talk about difficulty and high grade, I think foreign books are going to be some of the most difficult because other countries don't have a culture of preserving comic books the way that we do. So, boy, this is going to be a fun market. And I'm already on the outside.
You're already hyped.
I'm hyped. It's going to be so exciting. I know Andrew doesn't sell much. Like, Andrew's a very pure collector. And he did fortunately sell me something very special. I'll bring that out next week.
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful that he did. But I think Andrew does have quite a few foreign things, if I remember correctly. Anyway, that's all we'll say. We'll talk about it later.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Man,
they're about to blow up. My goodness, I missed so many of those.
Awesome. Well, look, guys, it is almost midnight where I'm at, and I definitely have a long day tomorrow. So I got a new employee's first day, so I'm really excited.
Oh, nice, very good.
It's their title is Baby Justin. So basically, I'm hiring another me.
Oh, you got to train Baby Justin? Yeah.
That can do all the things I can do to, in a sense, clone me at work.
Yeah.
And
so you can have more time to do Marvel.
No. So I can have more time to build a market and take market share when everybody else is running and hiding in these current conditions.
Yeah.
So people are laying off.
Time to be doing that.
We're hiring and we're going to push forward.
Love it. Love it.
Same situation applies for vintage Star Wars card, completely undervalued for years, now climbing. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Thank you, Andrew.
Yes, Andrew. Thank you so much, man.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
And I love podcasts. Thank you. This really should be a podcast. It's like another 40 minutes worth of work to download the audio and put it on Anchor. And you probably do it faster than that. And it just be audio on podcasts so people can listen to it.
You know, we got to figure that out, actually.
It's not hard. It's just a little extra time.
And I'll get better audio on my end.
Oh, you sound great, actually.
Oh, well, that's
you listen to yourself,
I always thought it sounded not like it doesn't. It sounds like it's coming through one dimension with like electrical crackling.
Oh, well, so like this is a Shure mic, and there's actually an adapter that goes to this. It gives it that YouTube Deep podcast.
Yeah.
I just haven't ordered it yet. It's like $100 something.
You just did it though. I just heard the YouTube Deep.
Oh, you heard it right here. Just talking right up into the mic like this. Okay. Well, I can do that, Manu, if that's what you need. You need to hear me.
ASMR.
Yeah.
Whatever that stands for. But all right, man. This is fantastic.
Love you, man. Really appreciate you. Love everybody in the chat.
Love you all. Yes.
It's wonderful. And we'll have Saturday morning Marvel cards. It's going to be great. We're going to be I'll be in Shreveport with my friend Michael, who, if you've seen the Marvel Card Cribs episode where his whole house is turned into Marvel cards.
Cannot wait. Yeah.
We're going to be back at his house breaking Marvel boxes and then going to a card show. It's going to be great. And keep an eye out for that. Keep an eye on the product review. Let me know what you think about it. And keep an eye out on Instagram. A lot of good stuff popping up there on both of our channels. And everybody, we love you. Hope you have a good night. But as always, I hope you have a marvelous day. Peace.